Hello, everyone. Hiya. How you doing? We are going to get started at 4:20 because I'm still getting everything set up. Nope. I don't know what the fuck that is. Where's the chat? There we go. Hello, new viewer. We are going to get started at 4:20. I'm still setting everything up. At 4:20. Sorry for the echo. Yo. So, hello YouTube. How are you? How are you? Actually, let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm actually live on there. Oh wait, shit. Twitch. I didn't say that. None at all. Wait. I'm supposed to be live on YouTube as well. What the fuck? It's just like okay, it's only Twitch. Hey Twitch. Oh Lord, Lordy. Until I get that fucking figured out, that's gonna be deleted as well. I'm gonna mute because I'm still setting up everything.
back with another reaction video today. The first reaction video kind of accidentally deleted off of YouTube. Sorry.
Alright, everyone, we're starting like 19 to almost 18 minutes early because of the fact I got everything done that I need set up for the stream. So, woo! It's a lot of lag. I can tell you that. So, because of that lag, I might. Not the echo. That's my phone. Not the echo. But yeah, because of that, I might just take the VT model off, like I did yesterday in the stream before that. And also, so things can move smoother, I'm gonna disconnect my phone from the internet and turn on my hotspot. I mean, not my hotspot, but turn on my data. So I can still keep a track of chat. And I'm about to mute real quick. I have to blow my nose, Lord. And my phone is glitching in and out, so that's fun. Is it done? I don't know. Alright, y'all, let's get started. We are alive. But if my computer dies not for long, where the fuck is my charger at? Hello, new viewer. Welcome to the stream. We are about to get started. Like I said yesterday in the previous stream, the topic that we're going to talk about is really serious. So let's also not send hate to anyone that's involved in this situation whatsoever, especially the person named KatnChats. For doxing Aaliyah. I forgot. It's been a minute. Okay, it's been a long minute. Let me fix the screen. There we go. So yeah, yet again, don't send hate to any parties in this situation, because we don't want anyone to say, oh my god, I'm getting hate from such and such, and they are going to start playing the victim when the actual victim is Alicia. Okay, now let's get started.
How do you differentiate yourself from 8 billion other people? Exclusivity. Whether it be an exclusive car or a collector's item, people have always sought a way to be special compared to others. The same can be said about exclusive information. It's a way to stand out compared to everyone else and maybe even profit greatly from it. That's exactly what KatnChats, otherwise known as KatnChats, thought would happen with her. Because when an artist reached out to her claiming to have been mistreated by one of the most beloved VTubers in the space, she probably thought of views, subscribers, and a whole lot of money. What she got instead, though, was her worst nightmare, with the entire situation blowing up on her face while simultaneously reigniting a major drama from the past in which she tried to clickbait another VTuber's cancer. And when she tried to respond, she ended up doxing her by mistake. Bro, this is a disaster. So, to say that this situation is wild is an understatement, but it's also very confusing with a lot of information stretching back many months. So of course, as always, I figured that we have to talk about it and make it clear. So, let's do this. So, the drama tuber that ignited this wildfire goes by the name of KatnChats, otherwise known as Kat. She wasn't always a drama tuber though. What really put her on the map was being an advice tuber, making content centered around advice regarding content creation. As you can see in her TikTok, her username hasn't changed. It's still KatnChats Stream Advice. Her bio says Twitch Advice, and her most popular, most viral TikToks to this day are stream and content creation advice. Nothing much has changed in her coffee page either. Her bio says Stream Advice TikToker and Twitch partner. I am a streaming and content creation educator who focuses on teaching streamers and creatives how to make full-time content creation a reality. If you go to her shop, you can see that there's a lot of things that are on sale, most of them free. Free resources, guides, and hell, even a 3-month coaching package in which she assists you in content creation for 3 whole months. What really put her on the map, though, were her free resources, and especially
with like her channel and stuff was, like I mentioned. And yesterday's stream was the whole Kenji and his doxing situation.
Her guides. She had really made her mark in the year of 2022, and this right here is an example. This is a free sponsorship guide that breaks down the types of sponsorships, what to expect from them, how to negotiate, etc., all for free. Something that can tremendously help an up-and-coming content creator without an agency. Exactly. At the time, this is really what she was known for. Detailed guides, free resources, and above all, never before seen transparency, right? This right here is an example. She did this for a few months. It's from November 2023, and it's her revealing how much she earned in October with a very detailed breakdown from all the different sources. This, of course, only served to add even more credibility to all the resources, guides, and even coaching that she was offering. She wasn't just making up these things on the fly, she had proof that they were working, and people loved it. This right here is a screen cap of her YouTube channel back in May of 2023. And as you can see, her YouTube channel followed the same path as her Twitch, TikTok, and Coffee, making content centered around advice, streaming equipment, and even editing. But of course, seeing that we're now here in 2025 talking about a drama tuber, there would come a time when her content would take a huge turn. It all started in mid-2024 when she would make the video titled "This VTuber Was Scammed," in which a VTuber paid $650 for a model, but it turned out the artist didn't cut it well enough for it to be rigged. Kat would cover the drama and would see unprecedented success compared to her other videos. She would see an opportunity and would continue uploading VTuber art-related drama, targeting art misunderstandings, AI art, stolen art, traced art. She would cover any art controversy in the VTuber niche. And this is when she would make the full shift from advice tuber to drama tuber. But it wasn't all smooth sailing from here. Kat would find herself in a couple of controversies regarding how she would cover certain drama aspects of the VTuber community. And on January 2025, she would change her channel name from Katliente to KatnChats, going through some sort of a rebrand. And regarding these controversies, one of them in particular came back to haunt her today. But this was only after she had sparked a wildfire that she was not capable of handling. The making of this video, titled "Mismanagement of Dokibird's PC Auction Led an Artist On for a Year." And as you can tell from the like to dislike ratio, it wasn't really received very positively by the VTuber community. Here's the thing, regardless if you're a VTuber watcher or not, what I want you to understand here is that just at face value, just the thumbnail and the title are already a very big deal without even watching the video. And for you to understand that, we have to briefly talk about Dokibird. Her rise to fame occurred when she was recruited as an English VTuber under the massive Japanese talent corporation Nijisanji. She went by the name of Selen Tatsuki and at the time had built a very loyal audience that truly appreciated how much effort and sacrifice she put into providing them with the best sort of content and merchandise. Among other things, of course, like how she was funny and entertaining, etc. On February 5th, 2024, she was terminated in one of the worst ways possible by her corporation, with the termination still having a community note up to this day. The whole thing was one of the biggest PR disasters in recent history, so much so that Nijisanji's stock price tanked at the time. This inadvertently started the downfall of the entire English branch of this massive multi-billion-dollar corporation. And if you're interested in learning more, then you can check out my playlist on my channel titled The Nijisanji Drama Arc. What you really need to understand in this video, though, is that part of the disagreements she had with Nijisanji when she worked with them was related to art. She had this habit of depleting her own personal bank account in order to ensure the best quality music video production, art, merchandise for her community. One of the biggest disagreements she had with Nijisanji was funding this music video out of her own pocket because Nijisanji refused to. She ended up paying $15,000 from her own personal bank account in order to get this video funded and made. That's obviously a ridiculous amount of money, and Nijisanji still took this video down. This is a re-upload. Not to mention that while this drama was going on, artists came out to say that
that is so sad. But can I just say the art and everything is so beautiful. And you would think if you're with a company and you're really like trying to do this specific project and you really don't give a fuck about the money aspect of it all, you just want to give your fans, it's mainly about your fans, and you just want to do what you love. Because I did hear from somebody that Dokibird does sing. So it's just like, she's just doing something that she loves, and it's obviously not about the money, because she took that fucking much money. God damn, that's a lot of fucking money out of her own personal banking account just to fund this. You would think if she got permission from the artist of the song that she was covering, which was Shyla. I mean, not shit, fuck. I said the wrong fuck. I meant Lily Pichu. I'm so sorry. Fuck, I can't speak English. I'm English anyway. English, not my language today, was Lily Pichu, and she was like, it's okay. I said that she could sing it, like she got full-fledged permission from me and all this stuff, and they still are just so fucking determined not to allow their artist to do what she wanted to do. And it's so messed up. You would think if you're with a company, they'll have your back on certain things and not just keep bumping heads with you on really not a big deal thing. And especially if she paid for it and then they went behind her back and deleted it off her channel. And it's insane. You didn't pay for it. She did. And the fans loved it for the little short period of time that it was up. So, like, what is you doing?
Sanji had not paid them on projects they had hired them for, instead only receiving money from Dokibird, paying them from her personal bank account.
Damn.
So this is why Kat's video with the title is such a big deal. Whether it be as the corporate VTuber Selen Tatsuki or as the independent VTuber Dokibird, she's always been known to hire the best and compensating them like no one else. Speaking of Dokibird, this used to be her independent persona before joining Nijisanji. When she left that company, she resumed her activities here, and then went on to become one of the biggest independent VTubers on the planet. So claiming that she had led on an artist for a year with the thumbnail claiming minus $6,000 is pretty much claiming that she is two-faced, that the Dokibird that everyone is familiar with is actually not the real Dokibird. This comes at a time where this had already happened barely a couple weeks ago. A very big VTuber was exposed as being two-faced for years, which unfortunately made it.
And that's like so sad and like messed up. Especially like the whole entire situation that like Dokibird. What the fuck? What's that? Holy hell. It sounded like a car. I hope everybody okay. Oh, I don't know if y'all heard that or not. I don't know if my mic picked that up, but oh my, that's terrifying. What was I saying before I heard that craziness? I really hope everybody's okay, because it didn't sound like a car was like sliding. Like, what the fuck? And it's not even winter. You normally hear that shit when it's like winter or it's raining outside. I hope nobody got in a car accident, because that's crazy. Anyway, yeah, that's like really crazy. Especially after all this stuff that Dokibird has been through, to put it in that way. You could have worded it differently, could have had a different title, or hell, not reported on it at all, or reported on it like different way. Be like, oh, this incident happened, but like, let's not all blame it on one specific person. There's other people in the party, yada yada yada. Just like go more into details or do more research before you report on it on your YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's probable that maybe this is true. Maybe Dokibird actually is two-faced. Hence why the video has over 100,000 views. But why the dislikes? Why is Kat in trouble right now? Why are people turning against her? Well, the video is 1 hour and 48 minutes long. I watched every single second so that you don't have to, and we're gonna go through everything together to truly understand what the hell is going on. Starting with the first few seconds. Watch.
This is tea so piping hot. None of you guys have actually heard about it before because it has not been posted anywhere. This is about a big VTuber by the name of Dokibird and a charity stream that Doki had hosted over a year ago.
So right from the start, guys, this tea is piping hot. This is a news story exclusive to Kat that's never been posted anywhere. She has the scoop over the fact that Doki has been leading on an artist for a year in regards to a charity auction. Okay, in her little teaser in the beginning of the video, she's reading off of a Google Doc. Right? Now, I know at this point you probably have Google Doc exhaustion, okay? But there's a very big question here. Who wrote it? Most people couldn't stand watching the video for 40 seconds to determine that and assumed that this entire thing was actually written by the artist who was, quote unquote, led on by Doki for a year. But it's actually not the case at all. Watch.
I made this document, so I want to make sure I'm covering this correctly. Is this real? Unfortunately, it is. So
right off the bat, okay, Kat wrote this document that she's going to read for over an hour and 48 minutes. This is edited. She actually streamed it on her Twitch days before the upload, and it was over 3 hours of reading and talking.
Damn.
She had very briefly published this document before privating it. But as you can see here in activity, it shows that she was the last one to edit it. At the same time, someone actually archived this entire document before she privated it. I'll be leaving the link in the description, but this is 51 pages that Kat herself wrote regarding the entire incident. One can safely assume that the artist involved in the situation reached out to Kat personally and gave her all these screenshots of private DMs that occurred with Doki, her management team, and whoever else. But Kat was the one who summarized them in text. The reason why this is so important is because throughout the document, there will be some interesting takes. One could understand these takes if the artist had written this document themselves, but the fact that Kat wrote them is kind of weird. So for most of this video, she's reading off the Google document that she personally wrote.
God.
This
Hi,
means that we
Ivy.
can
How
read
are
it together.
you?
However, sometimes...
Long time no see. So, right now we are going over an incident between Dokibird, KatnChats, and Alicia. So the whole situation that is going on right now, it's because of this YouTuber named KatnChats made a video about the Dokibird situation. I'm learning about it now, so I don't know like too much about it. And throughout this video, people was saying that from the parts that I do know, yes, I am good. How are you? From the parts that I do know is that she was trying to bash Dokibird throughout this whole 1 hour, and that's insane. 1 hour long video just trying to bash Doki. And then in this exact same video, she brought up a VTuber that had got her in trouble. Oh shit, damn, what? It fast forward. No. That got her in trouble months back because she had clickbaited this VTuber's health problems that were going on by having like a weird thumbnail, and also in the title she had said VTuber with cancer got hacked, and that's insane. Like, why would you ever, and I mean ever, clickbait someone's cancer? Like, that is so effing messed up. No, you're good. We're gonna be here for a while because this video is like 2 hours long, so we're probably gonna be here for like 3 to 4, so it's fine. I'm just glad that you joined. Tomorrow we are doing season 2 of My Street tomorrow. So yeah. So yeah, it's just like a messed up situation, and basically KatnChats is getting canceled again because of the same VTuber, because she accidentally doxed Alicia. full government name, trying to defend herself and stuff when she, with evidence, with proof, with screenshots and everything, that she lied. So it's insane. But let's continue. And also, you have a good day, Ivy.
Document, there will be some interesting takes. One could understand these takes if the artist had written this document themselves, but the fact that Kat wrote them is kind of weird. So for most of this video, she's reading off the Google document that she personally wrote. This means that we can read it together. However, sometimes Kat will give her personal opinion on what's going on. This is when I'll be showing you her takes, and you'll slowly start to understand why this video is currently sitting at 14,000 dislikes. Let's do this. So Kat's document starts off with context. Dokibird hosted an auction that ended March 3rd, 2024 for a custom-built PC designed by the artist, with the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation being the charity of choice for the Tiltify. The PC is valued at $3,500 USD and the winner bidded $6,600 USD. Now you might be wondering, what the hell is a Tiltify? Well, it's actually a really cool platform. You can start a fundraiser and people can donate to it, and when they do, the money goes directly to the charity. It doesn't go to the streamer or the content creator's bank account. This means that you can guarantee any money you're donating isn't going to get scammed. There are many different ways to raise money on the platform.
There has been a lot of situations where people have gotten called out for scamming people, and that's why a lot of people say, and even I say to my friends in my personal life, be careful, be absolutely careful with certain things on the internet. You can't always believe what you see or hear or anything like that. So be absolute careful when donating to your favorite streamers or donating to your favorite YouTubers or just a random stranger on the internet, because you don't know if they're telling the truth or lying. Just do extra research before you donate. But this right here is actually cool. So it's like it's an extra step of making sure that you don't get scammed out of your money. So I love that.
One of them is a charity auction. This is where you have multiple different items that you can bid for, and the highest bidder wins the item. The bid would go to charity, and the person who gave the highest bid would receive the item. So for example, custom mousepad starts at $30. Let's say you bid $100, you win, the $100 gets sent to the charity, and you receive the mousepad. The items on the auction are not controlled by Tiltify though, it's controlled by the person who created the auction, in this case, Dokibird. Now this document has this section titled Proof of Doki stating artists would be paid, attaching a tweet that Dokibird made around 2 weeks before the auction began. The tweet says, "To all artists and creators, I'll be running a charity auction and stream next week, and I'm looking for people who will like to collab and work with me to make one-of-a-kind Doki themed items, plushies, figures, sculptures, signed work prints, etc. to auction off for charity. I will be paying for your service. Please send your portfolio to dokicanread@gmail.com. The items do not need to be completed before the auction starts, so don't worry about any rush. The auction will specifically go towards the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation, which looks at funding research into cures and improving treatment for mental illness globally. There will also be other items in the auction like one-on-one gaming sessions with me, etc." Kat's document then...
Oh, okay, that's actually like super, like, okay. Big W for Doki, because it's like she's giving back to like different communities, and that's great. That's real great.
Then links a clip of Dokibird. Here's what Kat showed in her video.
I am providing the money for shipping for all of these items, so do not worry if you're wherever you live, you're like, oh my god, would they be able to ship it there? I will be providing the money for the shipping to the creators who will be shipping these products to you if you win the auction. And also, even if like some of the items are not made by me, it's not coming from me, I will be sending an exclusive postcard to each winner of the auction.
So this was the clip that was included in Kat's video. The actual link in this document directs me to the entire 9-hour VOD regarding this charity, and the timestamps to begin with are wrong. right? In any case, what she's really trying to drive home here is that Doki is citing a manager that's helping her get access to Tiltify since it was in closed beta, as well as setting up other aspects of the auction. In other words, this manager 1 at the time was her right-hand man. She then really emphasizes the point that Doki said she'd be paying for shipping for the products, and then says that in this VOD, Doki mentions having a duplicate of each item for herself to twin with the auction winners. The reason why she mentions this is that this information will not be mentioned to the artist in question. Then we get to the private messages between the manager and the artist. The conversation starts off in Discord by the manager on the 27th of February 2024, saying, "Hi there, I'll be providing any updates or comments Doki might have moving forward, and we'll be using a mockup if you choose to provide one by the 2nd of March. Or we can use photos in your portfolio if you aren't, which is totally understandable due to the turnaround time. We don't have a super tight timeline, so keep that in mind. You can take all the time you need on this project, but we would like a general estimate to provide during the auction, and ideally we'd like to get an idea of the price as Doki is planning on paying all the artists she has chosen. If we're able to potentially work something out with Height, we can explore that too." Height is a PC building company.
Right, they just want to make sure that, like, hey, like, you could take your time to make sure, like, everything is, like, good quality, and also so you don't feel like you are on a deadline that you need to rush or anything like that, but also, like, if it's possible to let other people know, or maybe the winner know when would they get their set thing. So that's what normally happens, so that's good. Oh shit, not my stuff. Unmuting. But yeah, that's like normally what kind of happens and stuff. It's just like they want to make sure that everybody is accounted for, so that's good.
That has collaborated with Doki in the past. The artist then says, "Hey, thank you for accepting my request and getting back to me. I'm glad to hear about the timeline. That gives me a lot of reassurance since custom projects always take a lot of time and work to put together. I was already in talks with Height, so I've looped in my contact and I'm waiting to hear back from him at the moment." The manager and the artist then proceed to talk about maybe looping in Height to provide some parts for the PC, and then the artist says, "I've also got a mock-up ready if you'd like to see it." To which the manager says, "Yes, please." Now get this. The artist says, "Usually I wouldn't start work on a project or provide a mock-up before agreeing payment terms and stuff, but I trust that we can sort that later. Also, this is just a first idea, so it's totally open to suggestions/comments from you guys or Doki. Here's the concept. It's using the Y70 touch case by Height that has a 4K screen on the corner." And the artist continues by saying, "Just to note, my concept art also never looks like the final product. The final product is usually 10 times better, lol." So even though both are cordial and responding immediately, things are a bit messy from the get-go. The first thing that was provided was a mock-up. No contracts, no agreements, no timelines. Everything was completely up in the air.
Right. Like, if you're ever trying to do something like this, always have a fucking contract. Please, at least you can have a contract or something like that to save your ass. Like, just... because you never know what may happen in any case. So always make sure that you have a contract at hand. To be like, here's the part where we agreed at, this is what this, and yada, 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 yada. Right? Just always make sure you got a contract.
Nevertheless, the manager continues and says, "We're in talks with the marketing executive producer of iBuyPower in collaboration with the design team at Height. I'll definitely be able to give you a sure answer on whether or not it would be possible to get access to the items for our upcoming project for this, which would be amazing for everyone involved, later today. Also, that looks absolutely amazing. We could not have imagined a better design." The artist then says, "Oh, interesting that iBuyPower are involved. If it's their marketing executive producer, then this is definitely going to be big." To which the manager says, "As far as payment terms go, Doki is 100% going to pay whatever you charge for the PC. Once we have an idea of the final cost, we can finalize everything then." So it seemed that a contract, something in writing, something, real, was going to come once they had an idea of the final cost. But if only things were that simple. Here's what Kat had to say about this. Red flags in the project. The first red flag/issue is that management published the PC concept for the Tiltify auction without confirming a budget with the artist or that the work could be edited. To note, in the Tiltify auction, the design was listed as potentially being subject to change. It said, "Concept art is subject to change and winners will be notified of all necessary changes to the final product." Kat continues and says, "Also to note, the artist told management they were going to be OOO, which means out of office, starting March 1st for another project. And on that day, management messaged messaged asking for edits to be made and listing the item onto Tiltify. So this is when things start to get messy. On the 1st of March, the manager messages the artist and says the Y70 Touch height case that the artist had initially used in their mockup was facing severe supply disruptions. So they wanted to remove the whole touch aspect of it because they could get the case just without the touchscreen. Then the next day, the auction went live. The artist and the manager at this point had not talked about specifics when it came to price. There was no established understanding as to how much—
Communication is always fucking key, especially when it comes to a business type of shit. Okay, when it comes to business stuff, communication is always fucking key. And also, like I said, always have that fucking contract. I don't know a lot about business yet, but I am in a business class. And I'm still planning on taking business classes. And I'm planning on getting a business degree and all this shit so I can have my own business one day. Because I absolutely hate working for people. Absolutely hate working for people. It's insane. And also, like, you know, you can easily lose your job if a bitch piss you off too much. If a person pisses you off too much and you bite your tongue because you are patient to a certain extent, and once they cross that line, you want to cuss them out, but you know you can lose your job. Like, yeah, no, I don't want that no more. So, like, I want to own my own business and stuff, and it's just like I don't have to deal with people's unprofessionalism when it comes to higher management type shit. Like, no. Like, if you don't do your job, do your job. Like, do the job that you get paid to do. It's not my fault that you don't like training people. That's literally your fucking job. Do it. Okay? Like, I hate lazy, like, higher management. I really do. They don't do their jobs and expect brain fart. Either lower management or other workers at the job to do it when that's not in their paid agreement. That's not what I get paid for. I don't get paid to do your job. I get paid to do the job that I got hired for. So move, bitch. So communication is always fucking key. Always. And also fucking contracts is very much key. You, with like shit like this, you gotta just double check shit. Okay.
How much the PC would cost or how much the auction starting price should be valued at. So seeing that the artist was out of office, the manager seems to have gone to the PC part picker page of the artist to look at previous work and used the price of that previous work as reference, being 3,500 USD. According to Kat, the artist is based in the UK and the build cost 3,500 pounds, not 3,500 USD, which means it was more around 4,300 USD. She then says this price estimate is also extremely confusing. As mentioned previously, Doki had mentioned wanting a duplicate of each item to twin with the auction winner. A second PC is never mentioned to the artist, nor does the 3,500 USD price tag clarify whether that's 3,000.
Yeah, that has to be mentioned. Absolutely has to be mentioned. Like I said, communication is key, but let's continue.
3,500 for one PC or 3,500 for the cost of two PCs to be built. Finally, going to PC part picker to estimate the build cost for a PC will cause a huge issue down the line, as that is only the quote for the PC's parts with no addition of labor costs. The third issue is management. In the Tiltify auction, it was listed the buyer could choose their own specs. And that is indeed the case. The Tiltify page says this piece is a custom built Doki themed PC. Since the PC has not been built yet, you are able to have some control over the creative process and specs of the PC. The PC is valued at 3,500 USD and the parts in the PC will fall in line with the general PC of that pricing. Example, a previous build of the artist with roughly the same cost, showing the PC part picker page. You want to know what's really interesting though? When I go to the PC part picker page of that list from that exact PC back in December of 2023, I can see that the total price in USD plus the components from Amazon.co.uk equal around 3,600 USD. We're talking purely parts here with no labor, of course. This was exactly what the manager was intending to do, getting a rough cost of the build itself. Nowhere does this indicate that 3,500 USD would be 3,500 pounds in the UK. This is something that the document never mentions. Just keep that in mind. Kat then says this is an issue as no upfront budget was provided to the artist. On the 4th of March, the manager sends a DM to the artist and says, "Good morning. Just wanted to send a small update. I'll message the winner today to confirm their shipping details and all that good stuff. I'm happy to be the go-between for you both, but if you and the winner are comfortable, I can get you both connected on Discord to streamline things for you guys as far as figuring out specs and stuff. Just let me know and I'll make it happen." Secondly, regarding payment for the PC, I know that's probably up in the air at the moment, so we can stay in contact and figure that out as the project progresses or as we have a more clear idea of the projected cost. I did base the market value off of your previous builds, and we would like to stay around that general cost for the parts themselves, but would like to give the buyer some wiggle room as far as you know. Potentially going for a cheaper CPU cooler option to allow more money to go towards storage/RAM if that's something they'd like to do, but we won't know until we speak to the buyer. A few days later, on the 7th of March, the artist says, "Hey, I've tied up my brand deal from last weekend, so let me catch up with your messages." The document then continues about a brief confusion regarding height. It's not really that relevant, so we won't waste time on it. The next part is about communication issues, in which the artist on the 21st of March is saying, "Hey, thank you so much for your patience with my replies. I've been recovering from an addiction lately, which has been a huge struggle, and I feel that my response time has definitely taken a hit, so I wanted to mention it briefly to provide some additional context and transparency, and also to hold myself accountable. I wasn't 100% sure whether it was relevant or not, but since it's affecting my professional conduct, I felt it was best for you to be informed moving forwards. I hope you can understand." Then the artist says, "That's fantastic, thank you so much, that clears up my worries surrounding that side of things." This is in reply to a message that the manager had left them on the 12th of March. After the clarification about the whole height confusion thing, he said, "And of course, I've made it clear to the winner that you are not going to be involved with any tech support, and that if they have any issues they may experience, they have to go through a third party." So the artist's reply came a week late. And as far as we know, based on these screenshots, there were no other DMs in between this time frame, this entire week. This means that when the manager mentioned how much the PC would cost and the details surrounding it, the artist could have said something about it multiple times. These red flags that Kat had brought up should have been mentioned back then by the artist. In fact, forget about the red flags. So many specifics were still up in the air. And the expectation was that after the auction had ended, the artist would start work on the PC right after. But look at this. After the artist had said that they were dealing with an addiction and that they were holding themselves accountable, they said that they read everything, let's do some cooking on the hardware for this build, and I'll get back to you with a list of possible suggestions. This might take some time while I'm figuring out what works best for the buyer's needs. I noticed that he said that he's going to be in the USA from June to late August. If the PC is completed during this time, would you be happy to have the completed build shipped to your address and then handle shipping to the buyer when they're back in the country? I may need to relocate apartments during the period they're not in the USA, so I would much prefer that. So bear in mind, here we're talking about the possibility of the PC being done in the summer of 2024. Okay, keep that in mind for later. The manager then says, "That's okay."
But didn't it? Okay, I'm a little bit confused because, like, there wasn't a specific deadline at first because they was like, "Hey, you can take your time, yada yada yada." But like now it's more of a deadline, and I'm gonna just.
Hey, I've been pretty sick as well. I've also been away and not here much. I hope things get better for you. I know how hard it is to quit from my own experiences. He's referring to the addiction that's been blurred out here. Then he continues, "If it comes down to it, we're more than happy to handle the shipment of the PC." Then says, "Sounds good. There's no rush, so take your time and take care of yourself." Overall, a very wholesome conversation, right? Now, a month later, on the 17th of April, there's been zero communication, and I mean zero, as far as we know, on Discord between the artist and the manager. The manager then says, "Hi there. The winner of the auction has requested to establish contact with you to discuss details of the PC himself and to check with you on any updates you may have for him. I did let him know that you were working on getting those parts figured out, but he still requested to make contact. I can send over your Twitter if you're comfortable." No response whatsoever from the artist. Another month fully passes by. We're now 2 months since the last time the artist has said anything, and the manager says, "Hi again, just wanted to give you a heads up. I've chosen to part ways with Vtubers, and anything regarding the auction items will be handed off to my replacement once I leave on the 31st of this month, so the 31st of May. If it's alright with you, I'd love to include your socials in the onboarding document I'm passing along. They will handle everything moving forward, including any updates necessary for Doki and any communication with the auction winner. Please let me know if that's alright, and I'll include your Discord/email for my replacement." Kat says, "As you can see from the screenshot, management changed, and the artist was reached out to by Manager 2 on June 8th asking about the status of the project." So bear in mind, we're now almost 3 months since the last time the artist has even communicated with Doki's team.
Okay, so, like, I get it. Life happens. You can get very busy. Also, like, if you're like me and your phone's fucked up and your Discord's fucked up, everything's fucked up, you don't get notifications from Discord on your phone if you're on your phone unless somebody asks you. So it's just like, I get it, life is busy or some complications may happen, but in my personal opinion, if I know that I am working on something that I know if I'm doing business with somebody, I'm 100% checking my DMs every fucking day or every other day to make sure that they did not try to reach out to me. Do they need me to change anything, or do we need to communicate some more things, yada yada yada. You know, just like try to communicate the best way that I can. And also, like, hey, if I feel like it hasn't been like any communication or whatever, check up, be like, hey, like, everything good, you know. But also, it's just like, life happens, you know. You can get caught up. I get caught up all the damn time, so I get it. But just, oh damn, the echoing is crazy. Anyway, I get caught up like all the damn time, but I know if it's something that surrounds around my money, I'm making sure I'm keeping an eye on that shit for real. Like, I am keeping an eye on that shit for real. Like, I literally just recently had to make sure I got my money back because I had to cancel on something, and I best believe I got my money today. I also got to make sure I get my money on something else too. So it's just like, when it's money involved and it's professional type shit and it's business, like professional shit, okay, make sure y'all communicate. Make sure you check those DMs like every fucking day. But I get it, life fucking happens, okay? Life happens.
This is the email from Manager 2 saying, "Hello, this is Ryby. I am the replacement assistant for Manager 1, and I'm following up on the custom PC charity item with regards to its current status. To my knowledge, in the turnover documentation I was given, the item has not been fulfilled yet, and Manager 1 had issues getting updates from you in a timely manner. It has been a few months since the charity auction ended, and we're trying to wrap up all our commitments regarding this project. If you are still open..."
Oh, okay, so it has ended. Okay. Because that's why I kind of got confused. Okay, so she's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, they said that you don't have to, like, really get started on it, like, right away. You can take your time, but, like, you really don't have to get started with it until, like, after the auction if you want to. So it's just like, yeah, if the auction is done and over with, the winner has to get their stuff 100%. Like, yes, they said take your time and yada yada yada, but it's just like, you have to make sure you plan out things, make sure you get things where they need to be so you can start it at whatever the case may be. If you started before the auction ended or you started after the auction ended, just you had to, like, get some shit set up or whatever, and also, like, stay in communications.
Open to finishing this commission or have been working on the commission and have an estimated delivery date, please give us an update within 2 to 3 business days. Otherwise, we may have to go to a plan B and either reimburse the winning bidder or find a different custom PC builder. If you cannot fulfill this item, we understand life gets difficult. Just let us know and we'll get out of your hair. Sincerely, Ryby, assistant at DokiBird. Kat says, the artist responded June 18th asking for more information but confirming they still wish to fulfill the project if the option is still available. So even though Manager 2 specified please reply in 2 to 3 business days, the artist replied in 10 days. Now,
ooh, yeah, no, no.
Part of the email is hidden, but for the most part, the artist says, hey, listen, to offer the briefest of explanations, I ran into untreated health complications and had to get signed out of work or whatever, and then proceeded to apologize for the delays and any inconvenience that was caused. Then the artist lays out some points, specifying that they communicated with the buyer through email and that the buyer wanted a PC capable of machine learning and that he'd be happy to pay for the additional parts. The artist's initial response was that, yes, I could do that, but I'd have to come up with a brand new spec list, run it by technicians, do the calculations, etc., etc. As much as I'd love to provide that service for the winter, I understand now that I'm not able to handle the extra work, and I would much prefer to use the pre-existing specs from my cinnamon roll build, since this is what Manager 1 based the DokiBird PC specs on. Then the artist specified that they were worried that the height case that they wanted to use was discontinued. They couldn't meet demand anymore, so the case with the screen was not available. They thought that since one of the biggest aspects of that PC was a screen with DokiBird on it, that it would maybe look boring. They then said, I was hesitant about Manager 1 asking to connect me to the winner, but perhaps that would be best so I can consult them directly. Dan says, I think that covers everything I needed to communicate about. It's mainly been the fee and the scope that have been overwhelming, but I'm confident I can start work pretty much immediately once those details are sorted, and I'm determined to fulfill this. Since I just wrapped up a project with MSI, I can give you a more accurate time frame for the project's completion. I estimate it would take a minimum of 6 weeks to complete the project and roughly 12 weeks at maximum. Alternatively, I understand if you've chosen to go with Plan B or a different PC builder at this stage, especially as your email did say please reply in 2 to 3 days. I can only offer my apologies for the major dropping of the ball. I hope to hear back from you soon, and once again, thank you so much for your patience. All the best, Artist. So look, in any industry, if someone tells you reply within 2 to 3 days and you reply 10 days later,
Right.
I think it's safe to say
You don't
either
get the
fired
job.
or you lost the
Yeah.
job. Not to
Yeah,
mention
you
that
don't
this
get
was,
the
as far
job.
as we know, the first time the artist had even
Because let me do what I did. This is actually true. Let me not show up to my job for like 3 weeks and then get fired from my job because I had personal problems going on at the time. And I still got those personal blah, 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 blah. Fuck me. Can't speak English. And I still got those personal problems going on. It's just not as hectic as it was. It's still there. Don't get me wrong. Still very much fucking there. But it's not as hectic anymore. So like now, like my other job had some issues or whatever with my family, and so that manager took that out on me, and I had to suffer for that. So I lost my job because the lady got problems with my family members. Okay, like, girl, if you know you got some problems with my family, why'd you even hire me? Like, why'd you gotta take that crap out on me? So I was like, hey, so I can find me another job. Let me try to get hired back at my old job that's walking distance from my house and stuff. And I went up there today. She was like, oh yeah, we can hire you again because like you didn't show up to work for like 3 weeks, but I'm trying to go to the higher ups or whatever to explain that it was like a family emergency, so where you couldn't come to work and explain everything, so you can come back to work because I need you on my shifts, yada yada yada, you know. But like, yeah, if you did what I did, you're not gonna say lost that job.
communicated with DokiBird's team since the 21st of March. Let's also not forget that the artist said yes to the buyer's demands and then thought, you know what, I can't do it. I can't do a PC that does machine learning. And we still have no mention about how much it would cost, with the artist not mentioning at all how much they want in compensation, how much it would cost, not talking about the specifics. So look, the whole thing is a mess so far, and things were kind of starting to make sense. Manager 1 should have been more insistent and proactive, but instead was way too laid back and seemed like he didn't really care. Well, that's because he ended up leaving. He already had a foot out the door and probably didn't care as much as he should have. The artist...
Right, true. Because with me, when it comes to jobs that I don't want to work at anymore, and I'm just done with the bullshit that's been going on at the job, I'm literally checked out. Like, I'm so checked out. Literally, my first job ever working, ever, was when I was 15, and the higher ups, the owner, the hiring manager, general managers, all that was taking advantage of the teenagers that were working there. They would deadass leave the teenagers there by themselves without any fucking adults there. And none of them are of age. Sure, not 18 and up. No, nothing. It's just teenagers from 15 to 16 there to run the store by themselves. And these kids aren't managers, and they're doing a manager's job. And this is, like, I was one of them, okay? Like, I literally opened that store by myself, having to train these damn kids that don't know what the they're doing. Oh my, I hated working there. Oh, I was so checked out because, like, I opened the store by myself. I closed the store by myself. And then you have me training these new kids that don't know what the to do at all. Like, I was so pissed. I was so pissed, bro. Like, oh my god. Like, bro, I literally did every fucking thing by myself. And then some of the new kids, they did not want to do their jobs. They just wanted to be on their phones and then dip off into the restroom and just be on their phones and not do their jobs. And then I have to do everything still by myself. Oh, I hated that. So as soon as the last straw was drawn, bro, I literally dipped. I was like, yo, I already put in my 2 weeks notice, but I'm quitting today. Y'all pissed me entirely the fuck off. Y'all knew it was gonna be a busy fucking day at work today because it's the first of the fucking month and you know we always busy, and you son of a bitches decided to leave literally 3 fucking teenagers here, and I'm the only fucking one that's been here the longest. And I'm the oldest here too? Yeah, no, you got me fucked up. You got me entirely fucked up. If you don't bring your fucking ass to your damn store, you the owner, bring your ass here and do your damn job. Get somebody up here. Because I'm done. I literally walked out. Like, I did not give a fuck. I was like, I'm done. Bye. Like, when it comes to a certain point of anything, okay, you're already 1 foot out the door, and as soon as something that ticks you off happens, you're done. You're out. You don't give a fuck. So I get it, but also he should have like did more to communicate and stay in contact with the artist and make sure that the artist did meet certain deadlines. Okay. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. And sorry for that whole ass rant about my first job and stuff. Sorry for that whole rant. It's just like, I felt that shit because I've been there. I've dead ass been there before. It's just like, it ain't it.
On the other hand, will just disappear for like way too long. And while health issues suck, it's not enough of a reason to keep your clients in the dark. One simple message, one simple email, and you can let them know so that way they go for a plan B. So what did Kat have to say about this? Well, let's see.
And scope. So yeah, basically the artist offered a couple options. It was like either 1, they would complete the build, they apologize for being late. Option 2, the buyer would be refunded. And option 3, a different builder would be used. January 20.
Oh, cool. The artist apologized for being 2 months late. Let's not even take a second to talk about that. This is going to be a growing trend throughout this video. Anyway, back to the document. Kat continues the document and says, then, January 2025, Dokibird personally reached out to the artist.
But yeah, 100% the artist, I get it. Like, mental health shit happens all the damn time. Like, I get it. It's very important to take care of your mental health. Like, sometimes, fuck a damn job. Your mental health is more important. But then since it's like what it was, you could have like at least said, hey, I got some shit going on. Some deadlines aren't going to be meets because some shit's happening. You know? Because when I had some shit going on, that's what I did. And my managers understood and stuff. Did I still lose my job at the end of the day? Yeah, but they understood. You know?
Artist in Twitter DMs and through their personal website to put the artist, the charity winner, and a member of Doki's staff, which will be the 3rd iteration of the management team who will be in green, into a group chat together. So Manager 2 had been replaced by Manager 3. Dokibird had created a Discord group chat with Manager 3, the artist.
Damn, how many fucking managers are there? But yeah, it could have been a lot better on all parties. It's just like ghosting someone in a professional manner for 2 months is absolutely insane. I do that in my personal life all the damn time, because of the fact is, it's just when certain shit happens, I just go ghost on all my friends and family. Unless you absolutely live in my house, I am check the fuck out. Like, and that's how it be sometimes. But when it's professional wise, you gotta communicate that shit. I get it, it's hard, shit in life happens, but you just gotta communicate that shit.
Herself and the auction bid winner for the PC. Just so you know, so that you're not confused with the timelines, DokiBird only personally reached out months after that email conversation we just saw. So now we're on January 10th, 2025, 10 months after the charity auction had even been
10 months? Oh, what the fuck? Also, hi, new viewer. So right now we are basically talking about the DokiBird KatnChats and more drama that's going on. So basically KatnChats was bashing this VTuber called DokiBird and a Google document that they have made and bashing them in the YouTube video. And while they was doing that, because, like, that's what other people were saying, like, she was bashing them. So, like, that's what we're learning it now in this video, and we're only 26 minutes in. Oh, I need to stop talking and stop pausing. Oh, we gonna be here all night. Let me shut up. But, yeah, drama is happening. Yeah. Yeah.
begun. So as far as we know, this is how the DM started, with Doki saying, "The winner of the charity auction has been unhappy with the wait, and I was pulled in to fix the issue as it has grown bigger than it should be." The next day, the artist says, "Hey Doki, I haven't had any messages about the charity PC since last summer, so I honestly wasn't sure what was going on." The next day, Doki says, "What is your Discord? Is it okay if I add you and the charity winner plus one of my staff to fix this issue?" To which the artist said, "Yes, although I need to go over a few details with your staff before jumping into a Discord group chat with your team plus the auction winner. My Discord is blank. Let me know your staff's Discord name so I can keep an eye out for them." To which Doki says, "Okay, his Discord will be blank." And then 13 days later, we can see the artist saying, "Hi Doki, we really need your personal involvement in the group chat." Kind of giving you a spoiler over the fact that things don't go as smoothly as planned.
God dang.
Kat says, at this point, the artist was confused, as since they had not received a response back from email, they had assumed management was going with plan B, reimbursing the winner or finding another custom PC builder. The artist was reluctant to join a group chat with the charity winner, as at this point, the artists themselves still had no idea how much they're getting paid for the project or any other questions answered. They requested to speak privately with the new management/staff member first to sort out payment, budget, and other details so as to not appear unprofessional in front of the client. So here we can see Manager 3 saying, "Hi artist, I'm Management 3, part of DokiBird's staff team. I have been working for Doki since August, and before that you had contact with Manager 1, most likely regarding the charity auction. I'm unsure how exactly this came to be and why Doki has to pay this out of her own pocket and the item isn't donated, but this has been before my time. Regardless, this is the item. The PC had a fair market value of 3,500 USD at the time, a year ago, and from what I understand is that the person that asked for the PC also had some additional requests that they were willing to pay for themselves. At the moment, I feel we need to find a solution to what you can deliver for that amount currently, what the auction winner is happy with, and what we can do to remedy the situation. 1-year-old specs can be an issue. I personally think we need to look at the charity item and update it and what it would currently cost for you to fulfill. Then we should get in direct DM contact with the bidder of the auction and verify the specs and tell him this is what we can do for this price. If they seem to want additional specs, then we should, as a team, talk about what that would cost and who would pay for it." So yeah, it's obvious this is a absolute managerial nightmare. If you guys are unemployed or are still in school, this is what it's like to work for a very big company, okay? This is a perfect example. It's constant back and forths with no one understanding what the hell's going on. Manager 3 did start off the conversation aggressively, no doubt frustrated that this has taken so long. But to be fair, one would assume that they had gone with plan B if they hadn't replied in any way, shape, or form to the artist since that last email on
True. In my personal opinion, if you're having like this much problems and issues with certain people while working, you'll just have to like sit that person down and actually straight up just talk to them, be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I know you got some personal problems going on. I get it, I understand that, but we just have a due date. We have a timeline that we have to stick to it, and we sadly have to let you go. That's just business for you. I'm sorry, that is just business for you. It's just like sometimes you're just gonna make certain sacrifices and let people go.
June 18th, 2024. There wasn't a single person here who knew what the hell was going on, and Kat continues in the document saying, regarding the underlined statement of I'm unsure why Doki has to pay this out of her own pocket and the item isn't donated, there was an option for artists Doki was working with for the auction to donate their work to be auctioned off for charity. However, Doki, in the previously linked VOD, states that she would cover the pieces artists don't want to donate, nor is there an expectation to donate. The artist then links the tweet we saw initially at the beginning of this document, in which Doki says, I will be paying for your service, and then proceeds to say, I'm happy to do a breakdown PDF of what the cost would actually look like for the team if that would be helpful. Kat says budget conversations begin. Because the PC build was listed as 3,500 USD in the auction, which was not run by the artist but an assumption manager 1 made, this staff member assumed the build would still cost $3,500. The artist provided a PDF including the cost of parts, additional things the bidder wanted, and their hourly wage, and they priced their build service at the National London Living Wage, undercharging below their standard rate. This is due to lack of transparency with the budget and how the artist felt pressured in being responsible to sort this PC mess out. Now look.
Yeah, true, and I get it and I understand that, but also, like, I'm not trying to, like, blame everything on the artist, managers, or anything like that. I'm trying to keep it, like, in neutral. Everyone in all this situation could have did way fucking better with communication. Let's be honest. But in certain parts of, at least what I've seen personally, with certain parts when, like, manager 1 was talking about certain things, hey, like, the artist could have been like clocking that shit. Like, me personally, like, sometimes I don't be paying attention to shit having a damn time when I'm be texting somebody, but, like, when it comes to, like, this type of shit and this type of manner, you gotta make sure you double check, read every fucking thing, okay, and clock that shit. Be like, hey, this is not what we agreed on, or hey, this is going to be an issue, or hey, this and that and the third, you know?
Be fair, even though Manager 1 used a previous build as reference for the $3,500 price,
he could have had communicated with the artist
also
with
had 3 months to talk with that manager before they left the company to sort this out and make this breakdown PDF of what the cost would be. To me, everyone is at fault here. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Everyone is at fault in this situation. And it's mainly the communication. No one's communicating with no one, and it's insane.
Really, Doki Bird's management team's problem, and the artist is innocent. The bias is starting to show. The artist then says, to make sure I have this right, the services are being paid for like Doki originally said, to which the manager said, yes, these would be paid, originally listed as 3,500 USD, I think. Sorry if this is the wrong number. I'm backtracking the auction from the limited info I was provided. The artist then posts the PDF.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how I keep fucking posting too damn much. I need to stop. Because I'm not even halfway done with this video. I need to stop.
Cost and says, since the build at the auction
I'm gonna talk over it. I'm so sorry. I have to. But, like, especially when it's 3 different managers, all of them are just, like, it's insane.
Let me know if you have any questions and we can go over them.
Like, you gotta get caught up with different situations of what previously happened in the past before, because you're the new manager and you gotta get shit situated because things are all fucking complicated. It's insane.
You sure it's the same specs? If so, I'll run it by Doki and staff and see what would be the best choice to continue. Kat says the artist empathized with the bidder who spent $6,600 and hadn't received a PC and began trying to sort the problem out. The artist even started looking for alternative ways to make the build more affordable by contacting their personal brand connections.
I need to hurry up and get a desk.
The artist emphasized with the bidder who spent $6,600 USD and hadn't received a PC and began trying to sort the problem out. The artist even started to look for alternative ways to make the build more affordable by contacting their personal brand connections. Again, this is like extra stuff the artist is doing on top of it. Like, flexing your personal relationships to try to, like, pull strings and get things done is not an expectation that would happen in scenarios like this. Like, this is like going above and beyond. Some people might read this and be like, well, like, the artist should have done that to make it as cheap as possible for Doki. It takes a lot to ask your relationships for stuff, because you kind of, like, use.
Also, like, the artist should be paid what their work is. Like, the artist should get paid for what their work is. I'm just saying. I can't speak English today. That was not proper grammar. But they should be paid for what their art is. I'm just saying. Because she had, like, made that little side note or whatever. She, like, saying the artist should have gave a discount to Doki. But just because the person is famous don't mean shit. Okay? The artists need to get paid what the artists need to get paid for. Their work and their quality is what they should get paid for. No matter if the person is famous or not. Personally, like, if you want to, like, if a famous person came to you and all this other shit and you decided personally to give them a discount, then go right ahead. That's you, baby. But, like, just because they're famous, you don't absolutely have to give them a discount. You should get paid for what your work is worth.
Who's up the amount of asks you get. Does that make sense? Like, trying to speak on it from like an influencer perspective anyways, I'm not a PC builder. I've built 2 PCs in my life. You can kind of only ask your personal relationships for so many things before they're gonna get tired of you. So like, you kind of use up one of your like free asks essentially to like pull strings for a charity of auction that kind of is falling apart essentially. Because yeah, some people might be like, oh, why couldn't you just do this from the start? Like, you only gotta ask so many times. So now.
So again, guys, the artist is flexing, you know, they're really trying everything they can to solve this mess. And while yes, it's definitely admirable that they're trying to go the extra mile and really get this done, I do feel like Kat is acting as if this artist is the plan B artist, you know, as if they weren't here 10 months ago. If this was the plan B artist,
been
absolutely.
there
Let's all
since
shit on
the
Doki
very
together
beginning,
100%. But this person
and
was
this
here from the
stuff
start.
shouldn't be
And so far,
happening
I have
for
no
real.
reason to believe that I shouldn't be blaming everyone else equally because they all have a part in this.
Right,
This
they
cost
do.
breakdown PDF should have been sent literally within the first week of establishing contact with Manager 1.
Exactly.
Period. And while Manager 3 is
My
frustrated
internet is
over the
acting
fact
up.
that they had to take over this literal
I am so sorry. I
shipwreck,
don't know why my
they
internet's
shouldn't take
acting
out their
up.
frustration on the artist, right? Again, everyone here is to blame. Oh, actually, I just noticed Manager 3's name is not censored here. I got to do that. Anyway, the document continues.
Damn,
The
not
artist
doxing
specifies
people.
that the original
Again.
hardware cost of their Cena PC has always been 3,500 British pounds, but they believe it's been mistakenly put down as 3,500 USD in the auction, which is why the pricing is misaligned. They then say that they managed to get support with the PC case, which is worth around 843 USD. So that would alleviate a big chunk of the cost. That's great news. In earlier messages, Manager 3 was trying to confirm, just to be sure. That would be $3,418 plus UK national living wage equals around 2,400 pounds. The artist
shit, I'm
recommends
tired.
rounding up the number to 3,500 instead of 3,418. And then Manager 3 says, I will get you in direct contact with Doki and the charity auction bidder to sort these out. Would the pricing be final, so no more additional cost, correct? Like no more shipping / tax cost, etc. Also, we would have to work with the bidder if the specs are okay. To which the artist says, it was agreed with Manager 1 that your team would be handling shipment of the unit. Hence, any packaging, shipping, tax isn't included
Exactly.
in the estimate I gave you. This should be written
Yeah,
in
they
the PDF
did say
I sent.
that.
To which
They
Manager
did.
3 says something that's not reassuring in this conversation. So it doesn't make any financial sense at this point. Basically, the item, work, shipping, tax together cost more than the offer of the bidder on the item. I'll ask Doki what she wishes to do since this is very badly arranged by ourselves before my time. But a refund to the bidder is what I'm personally going to advise because this makes very little sense to me. So as I said, not reassuring at all, right? And it's looking like
Yeah.
this PC will never be made. But still, the artist carries on as well as Manager 3, and they do end up creating the group chat, with the artist even adding their own assistant to the conversation. In this conversation, we have the top bidder of the auction, the artist assistant, and Management 3, as well as Doki. The group chat conversation starts off with the auction winner saying, hello, I'll just post my timeline here. 1. Contact initiated soon after auction by Manager 1. 2. I said that I wanted to increase the
Hello, new viewers. We're basically just talking about the Doki Bird situation and the Alicia situation and more with Kat and Chat getting canceled. Right now we're on the Doki Bird situation. We've been here for like almost 3 hours and I keep pausing and talking too damn much. So after this, I'm not going to pause, but I am going to talk too damn much just over the video. So I'm so sorry. If you want to hear everything that the guy is saying, go check out his video, please.
budget of the build's hardware and I would be willing to pay that additional price. 3, there was no communication for a while. After some prodding, I was notified that the artist had medical conditions and that they were gone, and the team was looking for someone to fill in as a new artist. Manager 1 also offered to send in the postcard early, which I did not take the offer. 4, Manager 1 disappeared and subsequently was replaced by Ryby using the same email after several months. The replacement was not notified nor communicated to me about the auction until I sent follow-ups. 5, Ryby apologized and said the budget was allocated. 6, no real additional information of relevance was exchanged after that point, and Ryby went MIA as well. So for the buyer, this is the biggest nightmare, okay? $6,600 expecting to get a PC.
Exactly. Imagining spending
Doki's
all that money
management had done
and you're
a
just not
terrible
getting
job staying in touch after Manager 1 had left. The stakes were already really high here. Kat says, the artist then apologizes for the buyer's wait and summarizes their health concerns. They then ask about questions they've had about the project. The artist says to move forward with the project, they need estimated project costs to be confirmed by Doki, to chat about the hardware that the buyer would like upgraded, and to confirm/discuss shipping details. Kat then says this appears to be the first mention of there being a request for 2 PCs, not one, to the artist. The artist never had an agreement with Doki or their management about the first PC.
Oh yeah, true. Like the first manager never really English mentioned the second PC.
But I believe not long after, Doki was able to obtain a PC, and this probably fell off her radar of things she needed, so I'm not sure if there's a requirement to pair up builds to reduce the workload on this. Kat then continues, Doki then joins in, apologizing and moving the conversation forward, in which she says, "Hi, sorry for the late reply to all this. I'll be reading through the replies. I'll be handling it personally instead of my staff since they are all busy, and it was my fault the PC stuff got delayed since I didn't realize the miscommunication got this bad until I was dragged back in / notified about it a few weeks ago. I really apologize again for the delays on this auction item. If there's something you need from me and I don't reply back in time within 48 hours, just at me again because my messages get super swamped every day. Since I don't think I'll be needing another PC, we can allocate the funds to getting the buyer's PC made with the parts they want, unless you'd like to have us share similar PCs. Please feel free to let me know what you prefer." Kat then continues, saying, the buyer states there's no need for matching PCs, then lists out the desired specs. The artist expresses not being comfortable doing enterprise level builds, and the buyer understands, going back and forth on parts and how the build would look like. A chicken versus egg situation happens, where Management 3 asks for the part list to determine a quote, whereas the buyer and the artist wanted to know what the actual budget for the PC is before choosing parts. Below is a screen grab of a conversation between Manager 1 and the artist about payment that happened early 2024 when this project began. So in this screenshot, we see a message from Manager 1. There are 2 sentences highlighted. The first one says, and figure that out as the project progresses, whereas we have no clear idea.
So things might get fucked up because of it, and I'm so sorry. I might have to turn off the VT model because of it. I'm so sorry to everybody.
Continues and says, for more context, the buyer had the intention of upgrading the build to their desired specs and was willing to pay out of pocket for the difference between the allotted budget and their desired build. A few days later, the buyer says, I see. I was working with the mindset of Doki providing her own budget, and then with that amount, I know how much I may or may not need to add to the pot. So for example, if the total was $4,000 and I'm only willing to contribute $2,000, the total would be $6,000. Or if it was $5,000, the total would be $7,000, which would give an additional $1,000 for me to choose parts I want. Thus, having an idea of how much I have to work with will undoubtedly affect my choices. The artist then says, I'd like to emphasize this point as I've been working with the same mindset. We're both waiting on a budget estimate from Doki as we can't move forward without at least a ballpark. The artist then says, at this point, I'm finding it hard to continue dedicating time to a project without Doki's personal involvement. She's the only one who can make key decisions on behalf of her business, and her input is critical to moving things along. Manager 3, again, it's not censored here. I keep sensing that this project might not make financial sense, and I'm genuinely concerned about the risk of not being compensated for the hours I've already put in. Since we don't have any form of contract yet, I haven't been able to establish standard creative industry practices.
Which is also very bad because at the very fucking beginning they should have had a contract.
Proposals, communications, but without a clear budget, I've been shooting in the dark and undercharging my services in the process in an attempt to make this work within undefined parameters. I really hope that you can understand that I can't put in any more hours or change the cost breakdown I've already given until I actually know what the upper limit financial constraints are and what the Doki team is doing to make this work. I want to feel like we're all aligned and giving our best effort to deliver a lovely product to a client who's been waiting for over a year. A day later, Doki then says, hello everyone, sorry again for the late reply. For the budget, it will be $6,000 to $7,000. I'm willing to squeeze an extra $300 to $400 if the parts do go over due to the long wait, so the maximum I'm willing to go will be $7,400 depending on if the parts do go over budget a little bit. So finally, after like, I don't know, almost a year, we finally had a budget to work with. What happens next is the buyer asking if the 7.4k USD that Doki is willing to pay is including the labor cost of the artist when it comes to building the PC itself, because in their opinion, it should. The artist then emphasizes, saying that at the time of the auction, their rate would have been £32 per hour, saying that they're undercharging their fees at £13.85 per hour, which is the UK London living wage, in order to alleviate the financial pressure that seemed to be getting in the way with the budget, especially since it's for charity. Also expressing confusion over the original charity plan, which is to make 2 PCs with one being meant for Doki. This obviously wasn't the case anymore. Kat then continues in the document saying Management 3 explains how the charity auction was set up, with a formula that honestly makes absolutely no sense for how these functions typically go. It will be shown later as well, but typically for charity auctions, all items auctioned off are donated by generous donors. People bid on the items, and the total sum of what was bid is donated to the charity. For example, 5 people donate PCs, the host will auction off the PCs and raise $100,000, and thus all $100,000 minus processing fees and such will go to the charity. The host does not pay for the PCs because it was explicitly noted those 5 PCs were a donation with the sole purpose of raising money for said charity. This is a fault of the first management team that set the auction up. Then we see Manager 3 saying,
Yeah, it's like
I understand
not
what you're
really
saying,
that
but
many
you're missing a few
communication
parts.
is
Regularly,
crazy.
in charity auctions, there is an existing item or
Should have
service donated,
clarified
and people bid
multiple
on this,
different
raising the
things
maximum
at
amount for a good
different
cause.
times
Previous
since
management
the
and
beginning,
Doki set this auction
middle,
up totally
and
differently.
hell end.
Basically, Doki Bird is paying for a lot of these items
From all
fully herself.
parties.
Might as well donate the money directly at that point, in my view. Why this was set up this way baffles me until this day. That's why you can sense my need to stay within/around the offered amount, hence my remark. I understand the artist's point of view, and I don't know how the original quote came to be without it being fully completed and transparent before the Doki team communicated it during the auction. Hence, we got an odd situation that we need clarity on. We need a fixed pricing, knowing what it would cost fully so we can decide further if everything fits correctly. Doki is willing to pay an additional amount as shown above since it's for charity and you have been waiting for a year on your item, and we feel really horrid about that. However, until this day, we still don't know what the PC would cost exactly with all factors and additional requests regarding specs. To keep it simple in layman's terms, currently we do not know if the artist's custom PC would cost $5,000 or $10,000 to make, and I would need to know this first so we can decide what to do. The manager then tags the artist and the artist assistant and says, can you provide a fixed price rating with what you would normally charge and include those elements? We do not want you to underprice yourself, and I'm sorry on my end if it came across as that. All I want is to know the full and completed pricing so we can make a decision instead of talking about it in different ways.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of January by now. And I think Manager 3 truly started to understand, truly started to grasp just how screwed up the situation is.
It really
how badly
is.
Manager 1 and 2 handled this. So they clarified their point of view and asked for a very specific price breakdown.
At least you know he's trying to do his job.
If they can actually pay
compared
this, or
to
if
the
they should just
two.
refund the buyer. Kat says, personally, while I do understand this could be Management 3's way of making all aspects of the auction transparent, it does feel guilt-trippy. Regardless whether it's for charity or not, the artist was
How
contacted
does
for
it
their
feel
services under the
guilt-trippy?
guise
The
they would be paid
manager's
for.
trying to do
So, yeah,
his
look,
job so
personally, I don't
everybody
really
can
see
get
where
their
this was
stuff.
guilt-trippy.
That's why I'm, yeah, that's what I'm
The way I
saying. The
see this
manager's
message is
trying
someone
to
being
do
like,
his
listen, can you
job.
just stop wasting time? Tell me exactly how much you want. I know this is a mess. We don't want to waste your time further, so let us know how much you want, and we'll let you know if we can pay it or not. Period.
He's just doing his
here's
job.
the spreadsheet that was provided. There are actually 2 options. The first one is the standard rate at £32 per hour, and the second is at the UK London living wage, which is the minimum wage in London at £13.85 per hour. Now here's the thing you have to understand just looking at this, okay? The PC itself with all the hardware costs 4,000 USD. But in the first option, the artist is claiming that the labor cost would be $6,610.
God
So
damn.
5,120 pounds. If we divide this total amount by the hourly wage, we get 160 hours. The artist is claiming, that this PC with the custom design and the hardware that was going to be ordered off of a website was going to take 160 hours to build. Now, I don't know about you, but I've built PCs before. You probably have. I'm telling you right now, even if it's your first time, it's not going to take more than 6 hours. You add a custom design to a case, fine, you know what, add 12 hours, add 24 hours. But unless you're literally blacksmithing a case into existence in an ancient forge, I don't see how 160 hours is honest in any way. Let's assume that they're working 8 hours a day on this. You divide this by 8, that's 20 days. Bear in mind, these are technically business days excluding weekends, which means 1 entire month of work, 9 to 5, excluding weekends. The minimum wage rate asks for less than half of this labor cost, setting at $2,816 or 2,216 pounds. Bear in mind that while this includes shipping, it doesn't include the taxes. So the final cost will easily cost way more than that. This is obviously a crazy price. At this point, Doki could probably build the PC herself and send it to the auction winner.
Right.
Pay this much? But you have to wonder.
There's
what does
literally
Kat
a
have to
whole
say when it
house.
comes to this spreadsheet. Because
At
to
that
me,
point,
and most people who
an
have seen this,
apartment. In
it's
this
ludicrous.
economy,
Let's
shit,
see.
it's nothing. In this economy, it's like an apartment.
Here is a spreadsheet,
Shit.
and two options are provided. Option 1, option 2, where in option 1, they price themselves at their fair rate of £32 per
My
hour at
internet's
the time
acting
of
up.
auction.
I might have to
And
take the
option 2,
VT
they
model
price
off.
themselves at London's minimum wage.
If
or
it
whatever
acts up at
the
their time, I'm
minimum
going to take it off.
is. So you can see the total estimated cost in USD for option 1 is $11,000. For option 2 is $8,800 with the really, really low labor pricing. So Doki Bird responds 2 days later.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's just gloss over that. Pretend that nothing...
Wait.
Bird responds option 2 is $8,800 with the really, really low labor pricing. So Doki Bird responds 2 days later.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's just gloss over that. Pretend that nothing weird is in those spreadsheets. Cool. But don't worry, guys, because the next section in this video is called Doki Responds and Deflects. Seeing that she's been very unbiased so far, I'm sure that this is going to be wonderful. After a couple
Wow,
of days,
that's
Doki responds
insane.
and says, just finished reading through everything. I didn't give input on what Manager 3 has mentioned earlier, and it was his own opinion, just in case anyone was wondering that it was my idea, but it was his own, and he wanted to fix things as soon as possible since I wasn't online or was busy to reply in time. I was
Right.
originally going to get a copy from each auction item, so each person was going to make 2, which should have been communicated to you from my previous management, so I wasn't sure why you weren't informed, as other creators were, and I have received the other auction items. But since I already have a custom PC, I'd rather just use the funding to make the PC that buyer deserves instead of making 2. Regarding the
Right.
pricing, originally what I was told from my previous management, the creator gave us the base price of what it should cost, and we put that as the original opening bid, as well as what it should cost to commission the items
Okay,
and what I needed
the
to
artist
pay.
never
At one
said
point, I
it.
had
The
to also
manager
pay what
just
the bid
assumed.
did for
So,
a few times, while for the majority of others, it was the original base cost, and the huge miscommunication error is one of the reasons why they don't work for me anymore, since the auction was set up all over the place. So this is referring to
Yeah.
Manager 1, why he was fired, because he set up this auction like someone drunk on like 3 alcohol bottles.
Yeah.
He continues, that's why we put
It
the
is
original as the
understandable,
starting
you
bid,
know?
as that was what I was informed will be the cost, as the original bid is what the item should cost, and the ending bid item should never be
you
less
know,
than what
at
I
least
actually paid
Manager
for,
3
which
is
is
trying
the
to get
case for the
everything
majority of the
situated.
items in the
He's
auctions,
doing
as I
his
paid for
actual
the original
job, so
starting
that's
bid
good.
cost. I'm unsure how they messed up the
And
communication
it's
since the original
like
person
very
who
good
communicated
that
with people does not
also
work for me
like
anymore.
Doki is
Kat
trying to
says,
like
again,
make sure that
here Doki
everything's
mentions a
all
few points
good
that have
at the
led to the massive
end.
miscommunication this build has now become. Firstly, the idea that Doki was going to get an identical copy of each item auctioned to twin with the winners. This was never mentioned to the artist, so up until the previous time it was mentioned, for almost an entire year, the artist was under the assumption they were making 1 PC, not 2. Secondly, being the quote, arbitrarily pulled from a previous build the artist did and using the wrong currency, pricing the build at $3,500. Not only is that number incorrect because of the currency and not including labor costs, that number only accounts for the parts of 1 PC, not 2. So okay, it seems that Manager 1 was fired for being an idiot as far as we know. And I think at this point everyone can agree that
Yeah,
he is.
basically.
Doki has
Yeah.
been trying to fix all the problems he left her, and she finally made that
I'm not
clear.
calling him
But
an
is she
idiot,
partly
I'm
to blame
just
for
saying
this?
that
Of course,
he
everyone
went
here is partly to blame. in my
about
opinion. Kat's
everything
way
in
of
a
summarizing this is definitely interesting,
unprofessional way,
saying for almost an entire
basically.
year, the artist was under the assumption they were making 1 PC, not 2. As if the artist has been working on this for a year. They weren't. But hey, listen, it seemed as though for the first time after almost 10 months of waiting, this project was finally going to get somewhere. Until it didn't. A day later,
This
the artist
is
replies and says, hey
insane.
guys, thanks for your patience whilst I've been tied with self-assessment stuff. Doki, after taking some time to process, I can't accommodate my pricing to the rate in option 2, and I really apologize for offering that and any confusion/inconvenience. While I'm sympathetic to the challenges you faced with previous management, I feel that I've been placed in a position to undercharge to align with your staff's current expectations. This has put me at a disadvantage, as the rate I initially proposed, option 2, doesn't reflect ethical standards for creative work. I appreciate your staff's apology for the miscommunication, as instead I can shift my focus towards providing the best of my professional services. Making sure that I'm paid a fair rate in line with creative industries is tantamount to delivering a great project, and I'm committed to collaborating with you and buyer on this. Going forward, I'd I'd like to ensure I can feel comfortable and confident in my professional skills. I'll be providing my standard work contract and a pro forma invoice which reflects ethical pricing and cost estimates to the best of my ability. I should also let you know that I have a window of availability to complete this work, as I have other bookings scheduled for Q2 and my rate is due to increase in the new financial year. I estimate that the project will take around a month to complete, so ideally if we can get everything agreed, signed and started by end of week, it'll help make sure we get the project done in a timely manner and still have wiggle room in case of any unforeseen delays. Instead of lowering my rate on the invoice, I'm discounting the additional fees like administration, extra hours, etc. that would have typically been charged for. This means that even if the additional fees increase, they will remain discounted without being detrimental to my standard rate, and you won't need to worry about the cost of my fees ticking up before we get the project officially underway. I've also cut a clause regarding revisions out of the contract so that buyer can freely request revisions in line with the original scope if he so chooses. Is there an email address that I can send the documents to, and would you be able to provide me with your business address info, Doki? If you'd like to discuss any parts or have any more questions, please feel free to let me know. I really hope that we can put the initial challenges we've had so far behind us and come to an agreement to get this rolling. Kat says, instead, they discounted additional fees to continue to try to keep the project within scope of the newly expressed budget of $7,400. So look, this is why I'm saying it's everyone's fault here. You proposed two budgets with these detailed Excel sheets, and then a couple days later, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? That other option I gave you, forget it. That's just, that's so unprofessional. And you know what else is unprofessional?
It really is.
Doki's management. This is like a match made in heaven. It's just insane. Doki
it was literally three different managements and all of them. It's insane. It's all unprofessional on all ends. Communication should have been better on all parties.
Before we continue, I think Doki made a mistake here. It's not in euro, it's in pounds, but whatever. She was okay with it as long as it was option 2. She then continues, I've had multiple PC builders that were in consideration when approaching me for the PC custom as a charity item, so it feels a little bit of a bigger mess to deal with as I'm paying out of my own pocket for the final build that would cost more than what I was told initially and a lot more than what the item was won for. I've actually been trying to fix this during my first vacation year, so I apologize if I worded things wrong since I'm typing on my phone while out. If I'm misunderstanding from what I read, option 2 was proposed as a way to help out charity and for a good cause in the initial plannings for the auction. I'm hoping we can negotiate something that fits both, as it was a charity item for a good cause, and this has been an item that suffered the most issues. The opening bid should have been what the original base price was, with upgrades later if the bidding goes higher, so I just hope to find a middle ground. If we don't, I understand, and if you feel uncomfortable and wish to take service elsewhere and focus your other projects, then I also understand, and I would look for other builders for buyers since I would try my best to give them the PC they've been waiting for. Interesting. Let's see what Kat has to say.
Give them the PC they've been waiting for. This to me is really gross. I'm gonna be straight blunt. I want to be empathetic. I get it. You're a busy creator. You're on your first vacation in years, so you want to relax, which is chill and all. Again, this wouldn't be an issue if this was sorted like a way longer. You know, like if you responded faster before your vacation, then this wouldn't have been an issue over your vacation. But this to me reads very manipulative because I'm on my vacation and it's the first one I've done in like years. That's not the buyer or the artist's problem. You know, the buyer and the artist spent so long trying to get you guys to respond, trying to move this forward, and you guys keep like spinning things back. And then 2, I want to break this down. Regarding this as the initial bidding was your option number 2. The initial bidding was not option number 2, meaning the artist undercuts their wages and charges minimum wage. That wasn't the initial bidding. The initial bidding was only for PC parts and never accounted for labor. So that's wrong. And then 3, even if it was in euros, which I was okay with accommodating. This to me also reads manipulative because what do you mean? You have to be okay with accommodating this because you plus your team fucked this up. You didn't directly fuck it up, but your management one was the one that screwed up and got the currency incorrect. So because your team screwed it up, your team now has to absorb the cost of the error. It's not I did you a favor for accommodating this. No, you had to do it because your team screwed it up. But now the pricing increases dramatically. Yes, the price will increase dramatically if you didn't account for labor costs in the original price, which was, again, your team's error. Did Doki know about this? No. Also, it's in pounds, it's not in euros, but that's like a whole side issue. Anyways, now 5, I don't like how Doki writes. I've had multiple builders that were in consideration for the PC custom build as a charity item, so it feels like a bigger mess and I'm paying out of my own pocket. Sure, you have multiple builders that were in consideration, whatever. You chose this builder, so now you gotta rock with it because you chose this builder. You know what it feels weird to be like, well, there are other people willing to do it for cheaper. That's how I read it as, and I don't like that at all because I don't like it when people put freelancers and artists in a bidding war to see who can bid themselves down for the cheapest possible service. That to me feels very exploitative. It feels very manipulative to do that because that's what it reads to me like, oh, other people are willing to do it cheaper, so why couldn't you? Like that's to me the undertone. And then 6, all this like charity, you know. Option 2, so the artist undercutting their prices a lot, was proposed
Because
as a way
it
to
is
help out
for
charity for a
charity.
good cause in the initial planning for the auction. I'm hoping we can negotiate something that fits both, as it was a charity item for a good cause. Yeah, it's for charity. It's not the artist's charity, nor did the artist agree to donate something for charity. The artist agreed in the understanding that they were going to be fairly compensated for their service, and whatever charity stuff was happening was on your end. You know, they were just gonna get paid to make the PC. That's what they thought was gonna happen. And trying to guilt trip the artist to undercharge their rate so much for charity is, to me, icky. Because that to me reads really entitled. I know charity is great. Donating to charity is amazing. If you can't donate, please donate. Charities need your money. But trying to guilt freelancers and artists into like undercharging themselves hella for a charity you wanted to do gave them the impression they were going to be paid fairly for. It sucks that you can't pay rent this month, but it's okay because it's for charity. By the way, don't message me on vacation. That's what it reads as.
Girl, what?
You know, this is a very interesting perspective, right? Doki saying I'm on my vacation right now could have been manipulative. But then she mentions, I've actually been trying to fix this during my first vacation in years, so I apologize if I worded things wrong since I'm typing on my phone while out. From my perspective, Doki is saying that she's on vacation to prove that she really cares about this, that she's willing to solve this even while on vacation.
Right,
and as a
she's
way to
taking
apologize
time
for
out
the
of her
million
personal
typos that are present in the paragraph because she's typing on her phone and not on her PC. She's understandably confused because she was okay with option 2, and then a day later, the artist says, actually, no, forget it. I'm only down to do option 1, which is weird. Why include it in the first place? Yeah, maybe her saying that she's had multiple PC builders that were in consideration does come off as weird. Or it also can come off as her voicing her frustrations. But I don't think she's trying to guilt trip the artist to get paid less for charity. No. The artists themselves said, I thought that by undercharging, it could alleviate the financial pressure that seemed to be getting in the way with the budget, and I wanted to make sure the project can still get honored because it's for charity. The artist literally said, option 2 exists to alleviate pressure because at the end of the day, this is for charity. But they withdrew it a day later and says, no, I'm only okay with option 1 actually. So Doki's wondering, wait, like I thought option 2 was because this was for charity. Like what's going on? Look, text is rough. You can't see the person's facial expressions. You can't see their body language.
That's why I absolutely hate. Oh shoot, I was not trying to pause this. That's why I absolutely hate doing a lot of things over text messages because me kids love fuck English. Cause miscommunication can always fucking happen over text messages. That's why I'd rather do it over call, FaceTime, whatever the case fucking be, Zoom, whatever. So we can get this nipped on the bud, so we can get it all together, so everything can just
said. But I just don't understand why Kat chose to look at this message and conclude the worst things imaginable from it, right? Like not a single positive thing here, not a single benefit of the doubt. The artist, on the other hand, is charging 160 hours, aka an entire month, for one PC build, and that is never put into question. It's becoming abundantly clear that there's heavy bias towards the artist, but we're only getting started here because this section in its entirety is called Doki Responds and Deflects, like the second half of the video almost. The artist says, just to clarify, option 2 is what I came up with during the last few weeks speaking to manager 3. It was suggested at first that I should just be donating the PC, and then to make the PC plus work plus shipping fit into the minimum amount that the auction was originally listed for. So I felt under pressure to try and fit within the confines of that, which is why I've undercharged so much. Their proof for this was linking manager 3's DMs with them and underlining multiple sentences. The first one is, Doki has to pay this out of her own pocket and the item isn't donated. The second one is 3,500 USD, and the last few are, we need to find a solution to what you can deliver for that amount currently and what we can do to remedy this situation. But the artist is making it out to be that manager 3 specifically said you should be donating the PC and we need to make 3,500 USD work. This was one of the first messages that the manager 3 had sent to the artist. Manager 1 had made a terrible job letting manager 2 and 3 know about the details, so it doesn't take a genius to understand that manager 3 was just thinking out loud, trying to understand what the hell's going on, trying to make sense of what's going on. I don't see any pressure here to donate the PC. The manager is merely saying that it would only make sense normally in a charity event to do that. However, did their first few messages appear needlessly aggressive? Yeah, they did, and they should have done a better job to be friendly, especially in the beginning of this conversation. But then as you saw from the next conversations with Manager 3, they became way more reasonable once they understood how ridiculous this situation was. After some more back and forths, the artist then sends an updated invoice where £3,840 is discounted off the cost, making the total build price £8,622. The artist shows a subtotal of £12,163, which is almost 14,000 USD. But after the discount, it's down to 8,622, which is around $10,000. The artist then says a very interesting sentence. That's the amount of my services already rendered that's gone to charity. So this discount is meant to be a donation to the charity on services that have already been rendered. Interesting, right? Because as far as we know, the artist hasn't even started on the PC yet, right? Keep that in mind for later. Doki then says, like I said earlier, this is almost $5,000 more than what the charity ended, which is what made me uncomfortable. I really believe the charity amount should be closer. I was open if it was $1,000 more, but this is what makes me uncomfortable. The artist assistant says, out of curiosity, how much of the $6,600 of the buyer money did the charity receive? And Doki says all of it. It goes directly to the charity and I don't receive any of the money as it transfers directly to the organization. The assistant says, sorry if it was an odd question, just making sure I'm following correctly. And Doki says, since it's done via Tiltify. Kat says in her document, Doki feels uncomfortable that the charity received less than what the item is going to be. This is confusing as the auction was hosted on Tiltify, a platform where donors will donate money directly to Tiltify and they will hold the money for 14 days before releasing it to the chosen charity. All of the money raised has already been transferred to the selected charity. Alternatively, Doki could be suggesting that they're uncomfortable with the buyer having paid lower than the face value of the PC build, with them donating 6.6k and the build valued at around 11k, making it a 5k difference. Yeah, I don't really think it's confusing. I think she's just uncomfortable that in doing this, she's trying to price match the charity and she's having to pay more than what the charity actually received for an item that was part of the auction. Just bear in mind, that's essentially what Doki was doing, right? Like, the charity received $250,000. She was price matching almost the entire thing by giving the money to artist instead from her own bank account. Now, of course, the majority of items weren't like this one, where she had to actually pay the bidded amount. So in total, she probably paid way less than 250k, but it's still a pretty big amount of money. Doki then says, no, I understand regarding that, the 5k is just after your amount was deducted. All $250,000 that was raised went directly to the org via Tiltify, and I touched none of the money, and I spent my own personal money on all the items that were sent to the winners. I just personally feel that the charity shouldn't receive significantly less than what the auction item cost, and that's why I hope we can find a middle ground. If anything, maybe we can have a portion of that money donated directly to the charity and not just deducted from the costs. The artist says it's not just deducted from the total cost you pay, and Doki says even then, the charity still received significantly less from the auction item and cost, and that's what made me uncomfortable with it being a $15,000 PC. Kat then says, Doki then suggests that a portion of the money, likely referring to the cost of the build, be donated to the charity. This feels unfair. While the sentiment of wanting charity to receive a fair amount is noble and a suggestion at a compromise, it's not Doki's money to give. This will be implying that the artist should undercharge themselves even more just to accommodate the miscommunicated budget. Management 3 begins pushing back on the quotes. Manager 3 tags the artist and the artist assistant and says, we have received a few different quotes by now and all quotes have big differences in pricings and keep going up. When we started, you asked for our budget and we said around 7,000 USD, and now we're getting a quote for 15,000 USD excluding shipping and taxes. Could you show me where you and old management agreed on the designer standard fee and what has been delivered on that? Where does this number come from?
They never agreed on anything.
Lost, but usually quotes are provided. You agree on a quote and things get made and paid in set agreed time based on the quote. Am I missing something? Kat says, management and the artist go back and forth on the quotes. The reason for the quotes changing is due to the artist feeling very pressured by management, both previous and current, to lower their prices to accommodate their budget that wasn't fully communicated. Management then tries to alleviate blame from themselves and the artist assistant steps up. Management 3 then says, there has been multiple things gone wrong, not only mismanagement on our end, just to be clear. So yeah, I think if you've been watching this video so far, you can see how many different quotes were given, with Doki initially saying, I'm comfortable paying 7,400 USD, and giving the artist multiple occasions, ever since management 2, to leave if they feel uncomfortable. And yet now we find ourselves at 15,000 USD, with the artist claiming that they're going to give a discount to charity over the work they've already done. And we haven't even talked about work done yet. We're assuming that work hasn't even started. So Manager 3 points out, look, things have been going wrong. There has been mismanagement on our side, but there's other things happening too on your end regarding the quotes. I think that's a fair way to look at all this, right? But here's what Kat had to say instead.
Steps up. So management 3 says there's been multiple things gone wrong, not only mismanagement on our end, just to be clear. This is again weird. Just own that you fucked up. Trying to like point fingers at the artist for having a medical issue, which caused them to not be able to respond.
Every party
Sorry,
was
you have
wrong.
Health issues.
It's
Your
not
fault.
only on
Suck
them, it's also on the artist.
Regardless,
Everyone
the artist
was terrible
right?
with communication.
Look, man, I might be delusional, but I don't remember seeing anything that points towards saying, oh yeah, sorry artist, sorry you got sick, buddy. Get out of here. The sickness has not been mentioned since the beginning of the group chat. This is not the problem at all here. I have no idea how she concluded this at all. Like, genuinely, I can't even explain it. But anyway, let's continue in the document. The artist's assistant replies to Manager 3 and says, "I'm sorry, this has not been sitting well with me today and I have to speak up. I feel this is a horrible pointed remark to make Manager 3 and is wildly inappropriate and unprofessional. Doki and artist have stepped up to own and apologize multiple times for missteps on both sides, and these things have been heard, understood, and sympathized with in order to draw a line under it, and to see if there is a solution to be made with the regrettable circumstances we now have. Giving explanations as to why certain things happened the way they did does not equate to making excuses for it or trying to absolve blame. I think that's simple enough to understand. I really feel like the negotiations that Doki and artist were engaging in have been really undercut now, and we've reached a point where all discussions should be left to them with very minimal interruptions. Doki, I'm sorry if my short question about the charity money was rude and out of hand. I was curious if the auction was done as all proceeds get donated or if it was 100% of the profits. Since that would have made a huge difference in how much money you'd be shortfalling for this item, I should have elaborated. Perhaps attention can return to negotiations if either feel there are further points of clarity needed."
My personal
now look,
opinion,
so far you might have your opinion on this.
My personal opinion is, as soon as people started getting ghosted, because this is supposed to be business-wise, professional-wise, as soon as people started getting ghosted, it should have ended there. Be like, hey, I get it, you got some personal shit going on, but we just got a deadline that we gotta meet. It's past over time, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. You get me? In my personal opinion, this should have ended a long time ago and got like a different person to do so. And also, Manager 3 obviously didn't get hired until now, but Manager 3 should have been the manager since the beginning. But obviously, that's not how shit works, but still. You know, because first manager really didn't do his job. Second manager wasn't even there for that long. And then third manager's
I think everyone watching this right now would understand everyone is in the wrong here. This really is like trying to come up with the worst team imaginable to just get one PC built already, whether it be from management or the builders themselves. But this right here is about to be the turning point. This whole fiasco has been like one big game of Jenga. It's a game where you have a tower made out of different blocks, and you and your friends have to take out a block one at a time, hoping that you don't collapse the entire tower. Whoever collapses the tower loses. Throughout this whole thing, the artist, Doki, management, whatever else has been withdrawing blocks, and this is the moment in which the artist decides to withdraw the riskiest block and make the entire tower collapse on their face. On the 30th of January 2025, the artist decides to send this message in the group chat saying, "Good morning, everyone." This isn't a message I'd like to be sending, but at this point, I feel like I have no choice. After all this hard work without payment, I feel my efforts and...
My personal opinion, like, not personal opinion, it's just the fact, hold on, I'm confused. Fuck. How everything is being worded, it seems like the artist didn't even do the work yet. I'm confused. What the fuck is going on?
work have been consistently undervalued, and I'm formally requesting to be paid for the work I have already completed. I do not feel comfortable proceeding with this build further until I am, at minimum, compensated for the time and effort I've already put into this project. Please find attached below the estimated invoice for my services. If you wish to proceed with the build, the estimated total required for this project will be £8,622. The amount required prior to complete this work totals £3,840, taking £3,840 off of the invoice attached. So again, they're claiming that the work they've already done, that they've never mentioned before, is worth £3,840, and that they're taking it off the invoice for charity purposes. They then continue saying, to break down these costs for you, the build estimate itself totals £3,102, comprised of the following. If you would prefer to cancel this collaboration and proceed to work on this build with another PC builder, a flat fee licensing agreement will be required. The cost will come to 25% of the invoice total before any deductions at £3,040. This is to protect my original concept and ensure I am compensated fairly as the copyright owner, as I am sure you can understand much time and effort has been put into creating this design. Just bear in mind, the design they're talking about is the sketch they had shown Manager 1, okay? Let's continue. Alternatively, if you prefer to cancel entirely, the amount payable will be £3,840 for services already rendered and $6,600 refunded to the buyer. Again, this isn't censored. I'm gonna have to do that myself. Anyway, artist continues, again, this is not a message I want to send, but I truly feel like I have exhausted all other options. I do not feel like I have been listened to or communicated with in a way I expected from a major project such as this. I am happy to discuss this further and clarify any items. However, I believe I should be paid for the work I have currently completed for free. I cannot continue further until the contract is signed and returned and the services rendered so far are paid in full. Additionally, I want to clarify something regarding the financial aspect of this auction. While I understand that this was a charity project, I recently looked into the tax implications of charitable donations in Canada. Typically, Canada offers tax relief on charitable donations. However, since the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation is a US nonprofit, it only qualifies for tax deductions if the donor has US income. If a significant portion of your Twitch revenue, sponsorships, or other earnings are from US sources, this means you may already be recouping some or all of the donation costs through tax relief. Canadian tax law allows donations to US charities to be deducted up to the amount of US sourced income earned in that tax year, which means the financial burden of fulfilling this project may not be as high as it seems. Given this, I hope financial constraints are not the reason for further delays in settling this matter fairly. At this stage, this is no longer a charity discussion. It is about ensuring that the work I have completed is fairly compensated and that the auction's obligations are honored at everyone. This is where, personally speaking for myself, the artist officially loses any sympathy or compassion I may have had for them. Doki then replies with, "Hello, I have not taken any tax deductibles from this charity as the money is not mine. I would like to clarify that. All the money is paid via my own personal bank account towards the artist, not related at any business. I am not making any profit through this or doing it for tax reasons, which is concerning that you think that. Please understand that my staff and I are trying to work with you. When you disappeared for 6 months due to medical reasons, your communication with us was lost and mixed up during our swap of management. I have never done any tax deductibles via charity events as all the donations are given directly via my fans, and I never felt right with using it as tax purposes as I've never done so ever in my life, and it really saddens me that it was assumed so. I feel like if that was the image you see of me, then I shall remove myself from this conversation, as it deeply hurts to know that you think of me that way. I really did want to fix this, as I took time out of my own vacation to assist in a matter that my staff told me not to get involved in. Since the communication has gone towards this, my staff would now negotiate with you regarding compensation, as I shall remove myself from the conversation. My staff and accountant can vouch that I have never used charity as a tax deductible, despite them thinking I'm an idiot for doing so, but charity is what I fully believe in." You know, this to me is actually a topic that really hits home. I'll probably sound biased. So before I start talking, let's see what Kat has to say.
Any profit through this or doing it for tax reasons, which is concerning you think that. By the way, I want to add, Doki I think reads this as a negative, as like something like accusatory. I think Doki thinks it's like a slight on her as a person, like a personal attack. Oh, you think I'm gonna like profit from this or whatever. No. I mean, I think the artist is trying to do is just reassure you that maybe you're stressed about it costing a lot, and that it just seems like the artist is trying to reassure you, hey, it's not going to be as much as you think because there's going to be a write-off about it. So
no comment, really, just no comment on this. There are a million ways you can reassure Dokibird in this situation. What the artist did was anything but that. Throughout the video, Kat has accused Doki of guilt tripping, saying, "Oh, do this for charity, otherwise you're a bad person," when in fact she didn't say that. What the artist said was guilt tripping though. Like, "Oh, you seem to be making a lot of money from this charity. I hope that you're not able to pay me due to financial reasons because it seems like you're making a lot of money on this. You're making a killing on this. Excuse me? Do you also want access to my bank account? Do you want to see how much I make monthly from Twitch?" So weird to me. But I truly wish this was everything that Kat had said on this topic. I just wish she kept her mouth shut because she makes herself look like a total clown.
As an aside, it's very noble to not want to profit off of charity work in any way. I use the term profit loosely, including tax deductions. While I do see the morality in that decision, charity tax deductions exist to incentivize people to donate, as well as providing a legal loophole for tax evasion, which is a whole separate convo. And in my personal opinion, it is perfectly fine to receive deductions as such. In fact, I'd even argue that receiving tax deductions from your charity auctions should be encouraged, as that extra money saved will allow creators like Doki to continue hosting charity events, as well as have an emergency fund of saved earnings in case a financial discrepancy situation like this arises. That's the thing. I totally get your moral compass. I get your moral high ground of like charity and all this. Like, it seems like Doki really loves charity. I love that for you. Again, like I said prior, we need more people advocating for charities and donating to charities and hosting events, especially people with platforms. We need that. Your moral high ground of like not wanting to take a tax break is just hurting yourself. No.
Your moral high ground. Your moral... Oh my God, I'm so close to punching my monitor. This is ridiculous. Look, when it comes to charity, my parents raised me in a very specific way. Your intent, your reason for giving to charity matters as much, if not more, than how much money you're giving. If I give $100 to a homeless guy, that's wonderful. If I go on stream or on a YouTube video and tell you guys, hey guys, yesterday I just gave $100 to a homeless guy. That just went from a charitable event to a marketing expense. To me, charity is the act of being selfless. If I were to give $1 million to a charity tomorrow, I would do it anonymously and I wouldn't tell a single soul. That's how I believe charity should be done. And I sure as hell am not going to do any tax deductibles on it either, because I feel that it morally messes with my intentions. I don't want to have to think about that. Do I think tax deductions are bad on charity? Of course not. I encourage them, because at the end of the day, it forces the ultra wealthy to donate their money to people in need. They do it to save money. Their intent is probably not amazing, but whatever. The money is getting to people in need. That's wonderful. Otherwise, they would never donate their money. At least most wouldn't. But just like how someone would choose to get a tattoo because it's their body and their choice, when it comes to charity, this should also be a personal choice as well. It's not a moral high ground to want to do charity.
Right. It just... I need to stop pausing.
For the sake of charity and not to take advantage of tax deductions.
Right.
Look, I don't know Doki personally,
it's
okay?
just
I barely watch her
whoever
content, save for a few clips here
personal
and there. But the fact that she
opinion
doesn't take
and,
advantage
like,
of tax deductions because it doesn't align
Right.
with her definition of charity, even though her accountant and team is telling her she's an idiot, makes me respect her immensely. People like Doki are very hard to find these days.
It
And this
really
right here,
is.
After an hour and 22 minutes into the video, I can very confidently say that Kat wasn't just biased towards the artist against Doki, but this was close to being a hit piece. In what world can you sit here and call what she's doing the moral high ground? She was accused of using taxes to her benefit, as if she was hiding a pile of money that she didn't want to share with the PC builder. And yet, instead of criticizing the artist, saying, okay, you know what, in this case they screwed up, let's move on, you chose to somehow still turn this towards Doki. Oh, and I'm sure this comes as a shock, but even in the next 20 minutes, Kat doesn't criticize the artist once. In fact, the entire video, the artist has been nothing but perfect. I think you're starting to understand now why there's 14,000
There's
dislikes.
issues
But
on
of course, it's not over
both
yet.
ends,
There's
not
more.
just Doki
Manager
and
3
her
then
team,
takes the
it's
reins
also
and
the
says, I have
artists
removed,
as well.
I don't know, I guess the buyer and Doki from the conversation. Please inform me what services were rendered for the £3,400 quote, and what was the formal agreement? We will not be planning on using the design for the winner's PC, so I would like to know what this entails, as it's almost the same price as the auction itself for a non-delivered item and mock-up/quote. Dokibird is not involved and does not have input in further discussions, as the staff will now be taking over this matter. But there has been zero communication during the project, no quotes, no asking for feedback or approval. We'd be willing to discuss some sort of payment, but nothing has been shown or delivered from our point of view at the moment. And pricings seem to go up every time we are talking, so please provide me with sufficient evidence of work being finished on your end within the next few hours or so. Because at the moment I have zero to go on but your word that things have been completed. This is usually not how to do business. Complete things without a quote asking a pretty high amount, more than the charity
Because
auction fair
with
market
this type
value,
of situation,
and then asking for the
you're
work
gonna
that
make
has been
sure that
communicated
shit
on.
get
Then
done.
implying we are unprofessional and that the
Not
streamer might be
just
pocketing cash,
taking,
whilst the bidder,
like,
her fan, not
people
yours,
at their
is still in the
word, like, you
conversation,
need
and then asking
visible
to add them back to the
evidence of
conversation
shit
whilst we
getting
already
done.
decided not to continue from the provided quotes. Kat then says, a few points to add. In the industry, services are paid for regardless if they're used or not. Even if there's no intention to use the mock-up the artist made, they should still be paid for the design. Secondly, while this wasn't the intention behind Management 3's words, pricing not only includes parts, shipping, labor, but communication hours are also included in the hourly pricing, as communicating with the client is still labor. Third, mentioning the charity auction fair market value referring to the $3,500 is a moot point, as that number has long been debunked as arbitrary. Okay, so I think the manager does make some very good points here that make a lot of sense, but let's see what Kat says just for fun.
Referring to the 3,500 USD is a moot point, as the number has long been debunked as arbitrary. But I want to break this down into a couple more points here that to me rubs me the wrong way. Beyond Dokibird being out of the conversation, because the whole issue was Doki had no line of sight into the communication and thus miscommunication happened. There have been zero communication.
Doki felt uncomfortable. That's why she's not in the conversation anymore.
Because you guys are the roadblock. And this is straight BS, because there have been communication. There was feedback that was asked. Every single time the artist provided an Excel sheet, a quote, the artist was like, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to discuss this further, etc. What do you mean approval? There is no approval because you guys are the roadblock that haven't approved anything yet. This is why nothing has moved forward beyond this. So, debunked. Point number 2. We would be willing to discuss payment, but nothing has been shown or delivered. You guys received a mock-up last year, because that's when this happened. This all fell apart. You guys received a mock-up. Has the artist not been talking to you this entire time, providing Excel sheets, providing part listing, providing estimates of costs, whatever, discussing?
Not until later, though.
Literally in this group chat with eyeballs. Like, how did you not see this? 3.
Not until later, though.
Every time we're talking. Yeah, 1, the labor cost is going up because the artists felt guilt tripped into lowering their prices to minimum wage rates, which, let me remind you, paying minimum wage for the labor cost of building a custom PC, an artisan task that requires an extreme high level of skill from the person who is building it, and you're going to pay minimum wage for that expertise, that is unheard of in the industry. Unheard of. But regardless, the artists felt pressure to lower their prices, and then they felt like, wait a sec, I'm scamming myself. Let me raise my prices to regular prices. Now you're freaking out because the prices are actually fair. 1. 2, the other part is the artist has to block out time. Like, if another project comes up, I don't know if it did happen, right? But the artist is kind of like in this weird limbo with you guys. So the artist is expecting to be working with the next 6 to 12 weeks. And if a project comes in, they likely might not be able to take it because they're expecting this project to start and for them to finish it. And then this is not how to do business, complete with things about a quote. Not them gaslighting the artist about how this is not how to do business when, again, Manager 1 was the one that made the Tiltify, grabbing a random PC part picker list from the artist, using that number with the wrong currency as the estimate price for the build without even getting the approval of the artist to use this number. And then they're the ones not giving the price to the artist. Over and over again, the artist and buyer kept asking for a budget over and over and over again. And you guys are the ones that are not giving the budget until way later, which is why things have been so slow. And then implying we're unprofessional, the streamer might be pocketing cash. No one said that. The artist never said Doki is pocketing money. The artist said,
the way that
she if you're worried about finances,
wrote it made it seem like she was accusing Doki of doing it.
For you. Huh? And by the way, again, tax deductions does not mean you're pocketing cash. I'm gonna tell you right now, I take every tax deduction I can. Okay, as an American, tax evasion is illegal, but.
So again, fully siding with the artist cannot do anything bad on this planet. They're an angel. The fact that the artist disappeared for months, didn't ask for any feedback, any approval, didn't show any work that was being done, that's the management's fault, of course. It's not both of their faults, just management. The fact that the payment has 160 hours of labor cost, with the artist claiming that £4,000 is being discounted for charity because of work they've already done and never shown, is also the management's fault. Saying this is usually not how to do business is gaslighting, apparently, because it's totally normal to claim to have done work on something without having signed any sort of contracts beforehand. And I mean, did she double down or triple down at this point? I've lost count as to how the artist was not being unprofessional and was only trying to help Doki Bird by saying, hey, you can get tax deductions, by the way. No, yeah, guys, take notes. If you're going to be a journalist one day, if you want to make YouTube videos about topics, this is how you should present them. In a very biased way, without ever hearing the other side of the story, while you fully side with the person who supplied you with the source. Those 14,000 dislikes? Just ignore them. At this point, Manager 3 was just done playing games. They look at this quote of 3,000 plus pounds for just a mock-up.
I would be done too, honestly, after all this stuff.
You spent 2 to 3 weeks full time to create this mock-up, and I think that's hard to believe considering Doki just debuted around that time, and mock-ups usually take 2 to 4 days to complete and aren't a full-time day 8-hour days. Side note, I don't see any hidden costs that might be attached, and I'm not an artist, hence me asking to clarify this a few times so I can double check this with legal and finance, as well as with other artists in a similar space on our end. We asked for multiple quotes. We are also not the same company as the previous C-Tweet. Dokibird Production and Stakeholders was its own company and wasn't owned by Dokibird. The team that worked there was fired for reasons as she got taken advantage of, hence she started her own new company. I understand you are not responsible or involved, but I'm trying to inform you since it's relevant information in a business sense. We are a totally different legal entity from the old company. The old company had no official agreements with you, and the new company is looking into this and also have no agreements with you. Now I'm still talking here since I do think some sort of resolution should happen even if we're not legally obliged and our conversations haven't been the best. But I can't help but get the feeling that both sides feel taken advantage of. Correct me if I'm wrong. We understand that the charity is Doki's thing and might not be your thing, and you wish to get paid for services provided, even if there was no agreement, quote, or official signed stuff. But within all reason, the old company had tried to connect multiple times and failed early on for reasons provided out of their control. At that point, things had been put on a halt, not because of Dokibird Production. I saw you take very little accountability on that part when it comes to charging your provided services. With this, I mean if any customer, which we aren't since there isn't an agreement, waits this long, it is perfectly normal to not be happy with the services.
Yeah, that was like one of my main things was that
touch with you when things
there
did not
was
go the
no
correct way
written
more than the fair
agreement
market value
at
has been
all,
asked as
and
services
like
for a mock-up. What would have
there
happened if we
should
did
have
not get in
been
touch? You can sense we feel
like
taken
the
advantage of for these and
communication
some other
and more.
reasons. So of course, things are not as black and white as Kat is making it out to be. From summer 2024 to the beginning of 2025, there was zero communication with the artist. Zero. Of course, this was partly management's fault, but it almost seemed like the artist was completely fine, never receiving another email. The management still reached out because they wanted to know, hey, like, what's going on? You haven't communicated for months. Like, they wanted to know, was the work done? Was it being worked on? And it was only then that the artist was like, okay, even if you want to cancel, I want money. It's like that. A few weeks ago, you hadn't talked for 6 months. The artist then proceeds to respond.
Right, that's my
saying,
thing too. It's just like, if you know that your services are being paid for it, even if they are not reaching out to you, you still gotta reach out and check up and all this other shit. That's me personally. That's what I would do.
Cost breakdown calculations, project planning/coordination, and other documents are part of the services you requested last month. You are correct that there are no hidden costs involved. To build trust, I've also offered to share previous invoices from similar projects to demonstrate that my rates are consistent and aligned with industry norms. I'm not a large company, but rather an academically recognized, published small artist specializing in unique boutique PC builds. My charges reflect the scope, complexity, and quality of the work involved. If this weren't the case, the auction winner would not have bid on the item. Additionally, I've consulted a charity manager who works with Tiltify to better understand the situation. From my understanding, the contract between the auction winner and Doki states that the winner is to receive a bespoke piece created by me. As per industry standards, this item should be fulfilled by the artist specified in the auction terms unless otherwise stated. While I understand shopping around for quotes, Doki's obligation under the contract is to provide an item created by me, as advertised to the customer. The charity in question had no formal relationship with me as the creator. This was an in-aid of fundraiser, meaning the funds raised were donated to the charity, but the charity itself had no involvement in managing or fulfilling the auction. Therefore, there should be no discussion of further donations or garnishing my pay, as this falls entirely outside the scope of the charity's involvement. Regarding the separation between Dokibird Production and your current entity, while I acknowledge the distinction, the work was initiated under the previous company, and continuity of responsibility is implied through our ongoing discussions and your acknowledgement of the project. We've already addressed the breaches and missteps by both sides regarding my agreement with the previous entity. Despite these challenges, I've remained committed to resolving the matter promptly and fairly to ensure the auction winner receives the item they deserve. I'm still open to resolving this amicably and working with you on a fair solution. However, the amount due reflects the work completed in good faith and aligns with the rate I've charged for similar projects. I have thoroughly considered the situation at hand, and unfortunately have to notify you that my final quote is the previously stated £8,622. I understand why this is complicated for you all due to managerial changes and the amount of time that's passed. I apologize for wavering on this decision, which may have contributed to miscommunication on the topic. The bottom line here is that I'm not going to accept any less than my industry standard rate, and I'm not interested in undercutting other independent artists in the industry. I understand if you'd like to pursue this commission at a different quoted rate, but my compensation is non-negotiable. I'm unfortunately not interested in any further drawn-out dialogue, and therefore will not be responding to anything short of agreeing to an offer. Thank you, and again, apologies for any confusion in our time reaching this result. The next day, Manager 3 says, we wish to continue conversations, but without concrete evidence as requested 3 to 4 times before, I cannot go back to the team and even start the further conversation of the possible compensation. We requested several things and these items have yet to be provided to us. If these items are provided, we might be able to assist you. The team also asked why you did not re-establish communication after losing contact upon your own return, and if you did, why was everything put on a halt? If you wish to stop communication on your end, then I cannot further help look for a possible solution between us. If you wish to pursue any legal matters, then please contact business@dokibirdproduction.com and hopefully you can find a resolution there with Dokibird Production. Please be advised that Dokibird doesn't work underneath them anymore, but they are still fulfilling previous contractual agreements. Kat says, it seemed that the final conclusion moving forward was that Doki's management was going to look for another builder to complete the PC build. Having not compensated the original artist in the process, they shopped around, potentially going through a PC company before settling on a buyer. So then the next screenshots are actually DMs between the buyer, the one who won the bid of the auction, and the artist. They had added each other on Discord, and the buyer kept the artist updated as to how the PC was being built. On the 7th of May, so more than a year since the auction had concluded, the buyer told the artist, so Doki ordered stuff from Amazon and didn't realize it got canceled because Amazon thought like it was fraud because it was shipped to the builder in the USA while she lives in Canada. And the builder didn't even know it was supposed to be direct shipped to them, and apparently him pinging rep twice still didn't get an answer. The artist says, what? This is such a colossal train wreck, I'm impressed. To which the buyer says, it's a stupid game of telephone. Me,
it
Doki,
really is.
Rep, builder. At least now it's me, Doki, Doki to rep, and rep to builder. The artist says, I feel so bad for you and the builder. The buyer then says, I forgot when you said it, but you were right. They did shop around for the cheapest they could get, aka free. To which the artist says, what do you mean free? The buyer then copy-pastes a message apparently from that new builder that says, "I'm sorry if they told you a certain date, but I clearly told them I can't give a date if I don't have the rest of the parts. I can't control anything out of my control. I am at their mercy since they handled ordering and logistics. I'm just a builder, a free builder at that." The document then ends with a conclusion written by Kat that says, "This seems to be a situation that completely got out of hand due to the faulty charity auction setup from the first management, along miscommunication from constant changing management and mismanaged expectations of how this would go down. It also does appear that there's misaligned expectations, with the artist, who is very familiar with working with industry on PC builds, entering into this relationship thinking it would be a casual relationship, and Doki's management, and potentially Doki by extension, thinking this was a professional relationship. A fair amount of miscommunication stemmed from the original $3,500 quote pulled by Management 1 from a previous build of the artist, which used the wrong currency, only included PC parts, and didn't account for the fact that build pricing isn't interchangeable one-to-one. There also was no mention of Doki wanting a duplicate of each item. This becomes irrelevant later as Doki ended up getting a custom PC through other means, and this serves as another point of miscommunication. Due to management changing midway, there was also a misunderstanding between the artist and Management 2 as to whether the build was even continuing at all. Management 1 also made it extremely clear to the artist that Doki would be completely paying for the build, but future management would not have the same understanding. And finally, there was a misunderstanding about budget and who was paying for what, with the buyer willing to cover the difference of upgrading the expected PC parts to the top of the line items they wanted and pricing of the artist's hourly rate, with expectations of the artist not charging for their labor at all, to minimum wage to the artist's standard rate in 2024 of £32 per hour. It really seems like a colossal series of missteps, with Doki and management not wanting to step up as the bigger person to remedy the issue. To this day, the artist has not been compensated for their labor, nor has the bidder received the PC, and it appears there's a new builder who's responsible for doing the build for free. And there we are, made it to the end of the document. Congratulations. I can feel my throat begging for mercy, but here's the thing, we're not done with Kat. Here's what she said at the end of her video.
This is gonna sound so privileged, but Doki is a big creator. Is money this big of an issue? As in the moral high ground of wanting to make sure the price of the PC matches what the charity got, then why couldn't you donate the difference to charity and pay for the PC? And now it's all done. Just pay out of pocket, take the loss, and call it a day. Or do a payment plan or something. Like, I don't know. To me, it...
Bro, just pay out of pocket. Just, hey, listen, do a payment plan. That's not the issue here. Also, if you weren't convinced that she was very heavily biased towards the artist, then look at this little clip from her stream reading the whole thing.
The artist, by the way, oh my god. Patience of a saint. They remain professional up until this day. It is crazy.
Professional? In what way? Just because you speak good English when you type doesn't mean you're professional. I'm sorry, but when I receive 2 quotes from a vendor, I lean towards the second quote, and then a day after they say, "Oh, by the way, the second quote, forget about it." Like, that is not professional at all. Not to mention disappearing for months. This was reporting done with a very clear narrative. And even though she's been doing this kind of content for a long time now, she made a rookie mistake. And if you watched any of my videos, you'd understand what it is. And that's not waiting to hear the other side of the story. As far as we know, she never even attempted to contact Dokibird. She had the artist reach out to her with this exclusive piece of news that no one else has. She got excited. And after the artist explained the situation to her, she had already made up her mind about who's right and who's wrong before even typing the first word in that document. She bit way more than she could chew, and she made herself out to be a clown. But even so, within the first few hours of the video being uploaded, all the top comments were siding against Doki. Like this comment right here saying, "As someone who works in a multi-million-dollar company, you know what we do when something is our fault? We eat the cost. You know what we do when we can't prove it isn't our fault when the client says it is? We eat the cost. The insane reputation loss from this situation is way worse than the price of the PC. I'd argue Doki's reputation would have gone up if she had just paid the artist fairly and then apologized to them and the buyer sincerely. Insane fumble." Those kinds of comments were everywhere. And the video, I know it's hard to believe, had a positive like to dislike ratio. This narrative against Doki was gaining traction, and she was alerted of this. And even though she's one of the most allergic VTubers to drama, she still felt the need to address this. And this is when the tides would completely shift against both the artist and Kat. On May 14th, 2025, Doki would all of a sudden tweet this out, saying, "Full statement on the PC charity auction and recent allegations," attaching a Google Doc. The document starts off with full statement on the charity auction and recent allegations. To everyone following the situation regarding the charity auction, I want to address the claims that have been circulating, particularly in a recent video. This has been an incredibly difficult experience, but I believe the full story deserves to be heard. First and foremost, I accept that the handling of this auction item was far from ideal. I want to sincerely apologize to those impacted, especially the winner, for the delays and confusion. And I tremendously appreciate the patience and support the winner has shown me. I take responsibility for how things unfolded, but I also need to be transparent about the challenges that were taking place behind the scenes, many of which have not been shared publicly until now. I feel that it's time that I share this with everyone, as I have come to terms with what has happened in the summer. At the time this auction was concluding, I was in the middle of a serious and distressing transition. My previous management team had taken full control of my brand, and I was actively working with lawyers and police to reclaim ownership of DokiBird.
God damn, how did
I was also
that
forced to move
happen?
out of my home under police supervision. A situation so severe it required formal reports and the help of personal friends and staff. It was during this incredibly turbulent time that the charity item fell into the hands of my team while I was trying to survive and restart my life from the ground up. I won't go into too much detail, but this screenshot is a snapshot of how bad it was. Here we can see messages of Doki with someone else who's blurred out from the summer of 2024, with Doki saying, "She just left. I only have a small window of time to leave the apartment before she comes back. Are the police coming because I won't be home when they do?" The person says, "Exit the apartment. They are almost there." Doki says, "I'm packing up right now to leave." The person then says, "Grab a charger. Officer's calling you. Please let me know if everything is okay." She then continues in the document saying, "So to be fair, my team and I were under a lot of pressure. We still came out of this and had to immediately start to pick up the pieces of the business. And during this time, there was no attempt from the other side to follow up or reach out after the initial silence. My staff wasn't sure how to proceed, and I truthfully was overwhelmed and unable to manage the situation while trying to reestablish basic stability in my personal and professional life." Here we can see someone messaging Doki on August 2024 saying, "Hey Doki, there's a metric ton of work that's still unfinished/unaddressed, and as much as I'd like to give the room to let you settle in the move, shit needs to get done. We can't keep pushing things back. It's already unprofessional that things have been delayed this long. The charity auction still has
It's been
multiple
a whole
items that
year
need addressing.
after
The
the
most important
charity
being the custom
thing,
PC,
so
which has
yeah, I
still
get
made
it.
no progress. And I've received another inquiry as to where the plan for it is. Bottom line is, there needs to be a new builder arranged, or at least a budget, 6,600 USD, allocated to either build the thing or reimburse the bidder in full." Doki then continues, "Eventually, I stepped back in personally to handle the PC build when it became clear it was dragging on too long. I contacted the builder myself and was informed of a prior medical emergency. Still, no follow-up ever came from them afterward, despite months passing, and I had to initiate contact again." As for the auction process itself, the starting bid was always intended to reflect the cost of the item. This was standard across all auction pieces, and many artists we worked with can confirm this. I was confused when the PC build kept increasing in quoted price, from $6,000 to $8,000 to $12,000, then $14,000 with no consistent rationale. I even offered to pay more than the original bid due to the delays, but the shifting figures and eventual threat of daily penalties for missing an arbitrary deadline left me overwhelmed and unsure if I could continue the partnership. The builder provided irrational hours in the time lock, asking for obscene amounts and services we never agreed on. Eventually, I was told I'd owe a $4,000 cancellation fee, yet I had not agreed to any finalized scope or cost. There was no contract signed between me, DokiBird, and them directly. Then she says, "Here's one of the quotes they sent us," in which we can see the total cost is $15,000, in other words, 12,062 pounds, with the labor costing $6,351 and the pre-project labor estimate costing $4,763. So as we saw, the artist was trying to charge almost $5,000 for communication and doing a mock-up in 2 days, when they had disappeared for months prior. Doki then continues, "And the timesheet they claim to have accumulated already for 120 hours, which my staff and I found untruthful, especially when I was not shown any proof of labor. We requested if there was a way to provide us proof, which was then also ignored." So as you can see, they're charging Doki £3,840 for 120 hours of work done before they had reinitiated contact in 2025. She then continues, "Throughout this, I asked for one thing multiple times, a time-lapse video of the PC build that was drafted, which the builder themselves had originally said existed. They told us it existed, and I asked if I could see it, but I was then ignored. I even stated in writing that it would pay the full amount, no questions asked. Despite multiple requests by me and my staff via email, it was never delivered. At this point, the builder's behavior was showing bad faith to me, the buyer." This is a DM from Doki on February 12, 2025, saying, "We have requested these items multiple times in various emails and DMs, and you have stated that you would provide them, but we still have yet to receive the items. We said that we are willing to provide compensation if these items were provided, so we do not understand why this has been ignored multiple times." And of course, this was not shown in Kat's document. The artist had not sent this part of the conversation. This is of course me assuming that these were DMs with the artist. There's a chance that they're not. But one thing I'm 100% sure of is the next image that Doki posts in her document, which is the fact that on February 13th, 2025, DokiBird's team emailed the artist saying, "We have never agreed or communicated on any pricing of anything for you to make a quote for us, and that this would be a chargeable service. No other company does this, and you did not make it clear to us you are charging us for this as a service in any way, shape, or form when we reached out to you in 2025. You did not inform us that every time we interact, it would be charged. You claimed to have worked in the past before 2025 with Dokibird Productions Inc. on things regarding a mock-up created about a year ago, and that you wish to get paid for those services provided, and that item isn't on your timesheet and wasn't charged. This raises even more questions on our end, because you stated that the mock-up was the work that was being charged for until you added the other items later on with no tangible proof, wrapped up as services that weren't communicated that this would cost money or further discussed, signed, or approved on. You have also disappeared for 6 months without notifying us in the beginning until 2 different managements gave up talks with you. We also still have yet to receive the time-lapse video which we requested multiple times and you have stated you would provide to us. If you do not have the time-lapse video, then please tell us the truth that you do not have the video. So this right here is proof. This email was sent to the artist, and the artist was billing for communication only, not even showing the mock-up. But the team wasn't even notified that the artist was going to charge for communication. This is usually something you do, telling the other side, hey, by the way, like, I'm going to charge you now.
The artist, by the way, oh my god. Patience of a saint. They remain professional up until this day. It is crazy.
That's not
Doki then
professional
continues.
right
Then
there.
came 2 incredibly personal accusations that crossed the line for me, that I was pocketing charity money and that I did this for a tax write-off. These were not only false, but deeply hurtful. All money from the bids went directly to the charity through Tiltify. I paid artists out of pocket, including shipping and production costs, and in some cases even covered or increased their rates myself. To be accused of using this for personal gain was crushing, especially as someone who has consistently tried to share what I have with others. Due to how emotionally charged the situation became, I chose to step away and let my team manage it more professionally. I was on a rare, long-awaited vacation at the time, while also suffering from severe food poisoning and still trying to resolve the situation behind the scenes. This was well documented on stream and on social media. Anyone who knows me knows I rarely take time off. This was a trip to Japan for my first LAN Apex event, which had been planned for months. Eventually, I worked with a new PC builder using my height case. I upgraded all the parts at my own expense and tried to spend nearly $10,000 to deliver what was promised. Unfortunately, Amazon canceled my parts order shortly before the winner's travel date, meaning we could no longer deliver the PC on time. At that point, the winner and I mutually agreed that I would send them $7,500 to build their own non-themed PC. We considered the matter resolved. This shows the order being placed on the 20th of April 2025, with Doki saying here are all the parts. Also, all the parts were 9,395 USD in the end, and then continues in the document saying 2 days later, the video was posted after the payment had already been made and the issue had been settled. The video description and pinned comment were edited after the fact to say I had paid the auction winner, but it falsely implied I only did so because of public pressure. That's simply not true. Here's an image of the transaction details of her sending 7,500 USD to the auction winner, and then she continues, I didn't screenshot anything from our conversations in the Discord group because I had hoped to resolve this privately without dragging it into the public eye. But in hindsight, that was naive. I've always tried to avoid public conflict, but now I'm being forced to defend myself from a one-sided narrative. The pain cuts deeper when I see people claiming I didn't want to pay because it was the most
truly
expensive item.
one-sided
Because
she was being biased about the whole entire situation and really just on the artist's side when she could have just tried to be neutral, whatever the case may be, because she says in her previous videos that I'm gonna be neutral in this case or yada yada yada. It's just like it was unfair in this situation. Also, like it's chaotic. It's very chaotic.
Not always from a business-only place, and yes, I should have kept some personal matters out of these conversations. That's on me, but I'm only one person trying to keep everything afloat. To be called a manipulator or gaslighter when all I've done is try to fix things, learn, and grow is deeply unfair. This entire experience has broken my heart. This statement was not something I ever wanted to write, but after being repeatedly asked to say something, and after having personal pain used for public drama, I felt exploited and I felt I had no choice. I hope this is the only time I'll have to speak on this. Moving forward, I will no longer be handling direct negotiations for my brand. I have learned that my emotional communication style makes me vulnerable to being misunderstood or misrepresented, and I don't want that to affect others. I hope people will take a moment to hear the full context, not just the most viral part of the story. Thank you to those who've shown patience, understanding, and support. Apologies for my break this week because I am tired. All I want to do is spend time with my closest and only family right now, as my dog had just got home from surgery and rehabilitation. I'm still learning, I'm still healing, and I'm still trying to do better every day. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why my videos take longer sometimes. I usually wait for the other side of the story. I wait for the other person to share their perspective because it can change everything, and here, in my opinion,
I get it.
Did Dokibird make mistakes? Of course she did. Could she have handled it better? Absolutely. But this isn't the victim sob story that the artist was trying to sell to both Kat and everyone else. This is someone who's disingenuous, unprofessional, and I mean honestly a straight up scammer who thought that Dokibird was making money off of a charity tax write-off and wanted to drain as much money as they could from her bank account. And by the way, seeing that Doki had solved this with the buyer, we have to wonder, were the DMs that were leaked between the artist and the buyer consensual? Did the buyer even know that they were going to be a part of Kat's document? We don't know. And that's worrying
Probably
by
not,
itself.
honestly.
When this document released, everything, and I mean everything, changed. When Kat's video was first uploaded, here's what the description said. Update. There finally has been a resolution to the situation and the buyer will be receiving a refund alongside an additional $1,000 for the troubles. Disclaimer. Please do not send hate to anyone mentioned in my videos. Everything that is said is alleged and there are always two sides to every story and the truth. This is so ironic coming from her. After the document came out, she edited the description and made it a pinned comment as well, saying, Update. The buyer has been refunded the original amount plus an extra $1,000. However, the artist involved has not been compensated at all. Sad face. Edit. To clarify, since people are wondering why everyone from this document is redacted except Doki, I choose to redact names if I think significant harm could come their way, either due to one party having a large and opinionated fan base, one party having a substantially larger audience that could be mobilized for harm, and other reasons I deem fit. Doki isn't redacted because this entire situation involved her auction, and redacting her name will not give enough context for people to understand the situation. Also, redacting the name of the person who needs to be accountable makes no sense. Oh yeah, then why is the artist redacted, huh? I know most people who have this sentiment are just Doki Bird fans confused why their Oshi is being criticized, but felt adding this clarification would help confused parties as to why so many names are redacted. Update 2. On the 14th of May 2025, Doki has put out a statement of her side. Feel free to read it here to come to your own conclusion. About the statement specifically, quoting Doki's document saying, the video description and pinned comment were edited after the fact to say I had paid the auction winner, but it falsely implied I only did so because of public pressure. That's simply not true. End quote. Please read the words written in both the video description and pinned comment and see where it says Doki paid because of public pressure. It does not, because that's not what was written. It was added after the video because the video was cut from a Twitch stream over a week ago and scheduled to go live at 10 a.m. And information about the refund was presented after the video was live. The VOD can be viewed here, linking the VOD that we already saw. You know, I find that hilarious. She recorded this a week ago, right? And still uploaded this 1 hour and 48-minute video, even though it contained outdated, irrelevant information now. Look, this happens to me too, okay? I'll work on a 1 hour video, and as I'm getting ready to export, someone comes out with a new, very important update. I go back and I update it, otherwise the video is useless. What's the point? This is her acknowledging the fact, right? That as the video was being uploaded, the buyer was refunded, and yet she still uploaded it, and her excuse is, oh yeah, it was recorded a week ago. I don't care. This is your job. How out of touch can you be? But I'm not the only one who felt this way. All of a sudden, the top comments went from criticizing Doki to criticizing Kat, and the dislike ratio became ridiculous. I mean, seriously, I can't remember the last time I've seen this many dislikes on a video. While this was all happening, people on Twitter were coming out to support Doki, with artists such as this one saying, I don't have all the context, so I won't weigh in too much here, but I've been working with Doki on tons of projects over the past 3.5 years, and it's been great. She's the only one whose projects I never turned down despite not doing comms anymore for years now, and there are sometimes delays in communications, but I've never been ghosted or had not been paid for my work, ever. I can tell from every commission that she cares and wants what's best for her community. Another artist said, can confirm, Doki Bird has never once failed to pay me fairly, and payment delays have never been longer than like a week, which is corroborating what she said in her document. Someone else pointed out, did people forget one of the reasons Doki even left Nijisanji was that they wouldn't cooperate with her, ensuring all artists they worked with were properly compensated? Which is what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. It just didn't make sense. True. Someone quote tweeted 2 screenshots from the document and said, these 2 screenshots are all you need to understand the core of what happened. PC Builder tried to scam money out of Doki, refused to provide proof of work that they claimed existed, Doki reimbursed the winner of that auction bidding, and the scammer failed to get their money, showing the artist's spreadsheet, and Doki saying that she just wanted to see the work and was willing to compensate. The reason why this is such a big deal is because it completely destroys the narrative that Kat was trying to push on everyone. A day later, Doki would tweet, thank you everyone for the outpouring support and love. I was honestly so scared and worried when I had to make a Google Doki. I'll be back in a few days to care for the doggo and not look at social media. I miss you all, Dragoon.
I like how she did that.
So
that was actually cute. A Google Doki. Oh my god, that was actually funny.
People weren't just viewing this video as a misrepresentation of what happened. No, they saw this as a hit piece, as a deliberate attempt to make Doki Bird look bad to get views on a drama video. And then, just as you thought that things couldn't get any worse, a major controversy from the past comes back to haunt Kat today. And this is all due to her saying something that she shouldn't have said in this Doki Bird video. At around the 1 hour and 10-minute mark, as she was mentioning how Doki was uncomfortable with paying a substantially higher amount than what was raised for charity for this PC, she tries to use a situation she's been through to make herself look good and give an example as to what Doki could have done. Watch.
donating 6.6k USD and the build valued at around 11k USD, making it a 5k difference. Just suck it up, man. I'm gonna give a personal anecdote, okay? There was one time I filmed a video about a VTuber. The video was edited by my editor. It was on my YouTube channel as unlisted. Then the VTuber had made a post writing, "I feel really uncomfortable with people making videos about my situation." News YouTuber specifically, which includes me. And I saw that and I was like, oh shit, okay, not gonna post the video. I never told my editor to not post the video. I had the video unlisted. It was not scheduled. Then my editor, because I upload once a day, noticed that I did not have a video scheduled for the day. So my editor uploaded the video without me knowing. I was asleep because we're in different time zones. My editor's in Europe, I'm in the US. My editor uploaded the video. He didn't know that there was a tweet that the VTuber expressed they didn't want people to talk about it. The VTuber was upset because they were upset about the way it was titled, whatever. And then so the editor changed the title and the VTuber was even more upset. Also, for clarity, English is not my editor's first language, so it came off weird probably because it's not his first language. I woke up at like 4 p.m. because I wake up really late and I saw all of this going down. All of this was happening over the course of 6 hours and I had no idea because I was asleep. I've now talked to my editor. He will not upload videos. I will only be the one that uploads the videos. He will not post videos without me knowing. It's honest mistake, happens. You know, I saw something, I didn't communicate it to my editor. I was like, I'm not gonna post it. But regardless, it happened. The video was live now and the VTuber was upset. So I was like, oh shoot, this is really bad. I took the video down immediately and I sent the VTuber money as an apology for the screw up. I did not make the mistake because I was literally asleep. But regardless, the damage was done, it happened, and the editor is an extension of me because it was on my channel. So to fix it, I paid the VTuber. I am so sorry. I made like no money off the video because it wasn't live for very long, but I gave them like what, you know, I felt would be fair for like the compensation for it, etc. And we called it a day. Even if you didn't fuck up, if it's a fuck up of your team or an extension of you, it falls on you and you have to clean up the mess.
And you're not taking responsibility. You're blaming it all on your editor, so you're kind of being very hypocritical.
The damage was done as a reflection of my brand. That's just what you gotta do. Like,
so this video is 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 34 seconds, and just this segment that was a couple minutes long was probably the most damaging part of this entire catastrophe. Yes,
right,
I'm not exaggerating. These 2 minutes ended up being a bigger reputational hit than this entire
talking about this situation.
Alicia is a VTuber who used to be an esports commentator. At some point, she unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer. She had told her loyal community and kept them updated, but would keep the videos and the titles vague. This video right here is a great example. It's titled My Health Update. That's usually how she would update her community on how she was doing. She didn't like to extensively talk about the fact that she had cancer. She didn't want this to be the label put on her forehead. So she made these health updates in a very low-key way so that the people who want to know, and she can move on with her life, still making content that's uplifting with things she wants to do.
Right, and understandable, you know?
Hacked, okay? She has 2 channels, Alicia X Life and Alicia X Death, and they both got hacked by crypto scams. I've already made a video about a VTuber getting hacked the same exact way, in which I explain specifically what happens, but in a nutshell, you click on a bad link, that link steals your cookies in your browser, and they can use those cookies to just be logged into your YouTube account. Now look, I'm going to be the first to tell you, with Kat's upload schedule of 1 video per day, it gets very hard to find good topics to talk about. I mean, they're just simply not enough. This is coming from someone who's covered VTubers for a while now. I usually try to upload weekly, and I still have a hard time finding good topics to talk about sometimes. Her and a couple of other channels saw that Alicia got hacked, and they thought, great, I can make a video about that. Except, Kat came up with one of the worst titles I've ever seen in my life. VTuber with cancer got hacked. VTuber with cancer got
Which
hacked.
Is absolutely insane.
Listen, man,
and
clickbait is totally natural to
what
find on YouTube. I do it, and I am not ashamed of it. The problem here is that if the only thing that's interesting about your video is the fact that a VTuber has cancer, then it probably...
What I was saying was that was so insensitive and my screen is fucked up. Like my screen fucked up. Anyway,
It isn't really a good video to make to begin with, okay? I can't even believe it's 21 minutes. What the hell did she even talk about? This had happened back on November 2nd, 2024. Alicia caught wind of this and tweeted, bro, what the fuck is this title? Clickbaiting my cancer is insane. Reacting to my update video is totally fine, but holy shit, the title. Ethics don't exist when there's ad revenue to be made, I guess. She then said, the title changed to VTuber in remission now. I still have cancer. My main mass is gone. Remission will be after my final 2 malignant spots are gone. Dang, can't we call me the funny VTuber or something? I don't even clickbait my cancer and I have it. I left a comment. This shit is so exhausting. There are comments in their
and
section
she deletes
I'm
some.
Hacked now, which I'm not.
Like,
my cancer isn't a YouTube
KatnChats
money glitch.
deleted
Fuck
all
off.
her
And
comments.
she says,
And
both of my
that's
channels are already
insane.
back.
You should
I
take
got them back last week.
responsibility
Also,
for
what is
your
the title?
actions.
Clickbaiting my cancer is so disgusting. Finally, after more than 24 hours had passed, Alicia says she deleted the video. Thank you for your support, everyone. I'm glad she reached out and tried to mend things. She also paid me the ad revenue from the video as an apology. Stuff like this is really frustrating and upsetting when feeling like I'm being defined by my illness. I appreciate the support and empathy.
And she also lied about how long the video was up, and the video was up for 24 hours instead of 6 hours or whatever the numbers that she said.
I don't monetize my cancer, so please don't do it either. So yeah, this is wild, especially the fact that
She
they
was
changed
mainly-
the title to VTuber with remission. Like, bro, you can
She
ask
was
whoever you
mainly
want.
just
Mr.
blaming
Beast,
everything
ChatGPT,
on
whoever you
her
want.
editor
VTuber with
and not really
remission got
taking
hacked. What kind of title is
responsibility.
that? Why would anyone click that? At that point, just unlist the video or something. It's such a weird hill to die on. Now, of course, Kat
And she
had
also
mentioned
said
this
that it
wasn't
takes
her. She was
minutes or a
sleeping. It was
long
her editor
time
who doesn't know how
to
speak the
delete
English
a
language.
video
She
when it
emphasized
doesn't.
multiple
It
times this
literally
was
only
not
takes
her
seconds
fault.
to
And actually
delete a
use this as
video,
an
and also
example
you
as to
can
what
do
you
it on your
should
phone
do
if you're
when
busy or not
encountered
near your
with
computer or
controversy.
whatever the case
Here's
may
the
be.
thing,
It's
though.
not hard
Alicia had made it very
to
clear
delete
she
a video
never
at
want to
all.
be mentioned on Kat's channel again. And yet, during this whole fiasco against Dokibird, she chose to mention it at the worst possible time. This prompted Alicia to quote tweet Doki's statement on the PC charity auction and say, "They said how many hours? I built my first PC with a friend and it only took 4 to 5 hours because we were YouTubing shit. Lol. Doki dealing with this sucks, but what sucks also? The person who made the video. Hey Kat, remember me? The person whose cancer you clickbaited for YouTube video and blamed anyone else you could for that happening. Your drama channel is shit and you take zero accountability. I let it slide and was nice because I was too emotionally exhausted from dealing with the aftermath of your video, but you know, personal beef. But at least you paid me back the ad revenue you made off of my cancer, so thanks for that, you dick." Now look, this might seem emotionally charged, unprofessional even, especially since Kat had gone out of her way to pay her compensation. Why bring up past controversies? Is Alicia fishing for attention? No, because
No.
up until this point, we had no idea just how badly she was affected from Kat's video. But before we get into that, remember that comment that was left on Kat's video? Someone saying, "As someone who works in a multi-million-dollar company, you know what we do when something is our fault? We eat the cost." Well, as you can see over here, there are 11 replies. One of them is from Kat, in which she said, "I cited the same thing from a personal experience in the video. There was a video I made about a VTuber with cancer, and then I saw the VTuber express they didn't want people talking about it. I wanted to respect that. But was being lazy and planned to delete the private video. It wasn't uploaded yet. When I
Yeah,
had
she's
time, since
keeping
sometimes
Alicia's
deleting a
name
vid
in
takes
her
a
mouth
while. My
and
editor
keep
posted
talking
the
about
video
the
without me
situation
knowing. I noticed I
after
hadn't scheduled
the
out a
fact
daily
she
video and
said
thought
she
that video
didn't
was
want
good
it to be
post.
talked
The VTuber
about
was
ever
upset.
again,
He
and
changed
she
the title
didn't
to sound
want
better. It actually sounded
specifically
worse because
Kat
English
to
isn't his
talk
first
about it,
language,
and she
made the
still
VTuber
has
even
her
more
name
upset.
in
I
her
don't
mouth,
blame
and
him
it's
at all. He's human,
absolutely
makes mistakes like the
insane.
rest of us. I was asleep the entire time and woke up at 4 p.m. to a shitstorm, and I was super confused as to what was happening. Even though the entire situation wasn't my fault, it was a
And it
reflection
was,
of the
you're just not
KatnChats
taking
brand,
responsibility.
and I immediately took the
Nor
video down and paid
accountability.
the VTuber compensation for their troubles for the video being up for 6 hours.
It was
As a
up for
brand,
24
things may
hours.
happen that isn't your fault. It feels unfair to take responsibility for something you didn't 100% cause, but that's how you can be the bigger person and right the wrongs for affected parties. So she hadn't just mentioned Alicia in her video, she had doubled down and mentioned her again
In
this
the
time
comment
citing the
section.
fact that this is a VTuber with cancer, really confirming the fact that she's talking about Alicia. Alicia saw this, quote tweeted someone posting her comment and said, "Be the bigger person, you absolute fuckhead. You clickbaited my cancer, the internet called you out, so you changed the title to saying that I'm in remission," which caused people to think I beat it. Then after you got double backlash, you reached out to me blaming your editors. You took zero accountability and gave me the ad revenue to the video because you monetized my cancer. You are not a good person, stop acting like it. Even though the entire situation wasn't my fault, is stupid. You directly say here, quote, "I wanted to respect that, but I was being lazy and planned to delete the video since it takes time," end quote.
And it
You can
doesn't. It literally
delete
only
a video
takes
from
5
your mobile
seconds.
device. Stop lying. It's not like I'm not a YouTuber.
Right.
Then tags Kat's Twitter and says it's outrageous you knew and still let it go out. Alicia would then make a video titled "I'm So Done," in which she calls out Kat the way she really wanted to last year but couldn't because she was too emotionally exhausted. Why? Well, she details that. You see, Alicia from the beginning didn't want to be labeled as the cancer VTuber. She wanted people to recognize her for being more than that, for being funny, for the content she made,
Yep.
etc. This is why she kept everything low-key. When she would update her viewers on her cancer, she would just title the video "My Health Update." She would never clickbait it or make it seem like it was her entire personality. When
Right.
Kat made the video, "VTuber with cancer gets hacked," this was actually the first time many of her fans were finding out that she had cancer to begin with. Then, not even a few hours later, when the title changed to "VTuber in remission gets hacked," Many of those same people thought, hey, she's cured, I guess. That's awesome. Alicia even received messages from her friends
saying
congratulating her on finally beating the cancer when she wasn't even sure if she was out of the woodworks yet. Like, can we take a second here? Can we take a step back and just understand how terrible of a feeling that is? You just had a surgery taking out one of your 3 tumors. Apparently, it's the main one that was taken out. There's 2 more. We're not sure if they're harmful. They still could be. You're nervous and dreaming of the day the doctors tell you, hey, you are actually in remission, the cancer's gone. And yet now you have to painstakingly message every single person messaging you, congratulating you for beating the cancer,
when you
saying,
still have
actually,
it. And it's
I still
fucked up.
have cancer. And that's without talking about the people finding out she had cancer and then thinking she's in remission within the span of a few hours. If I was Alicia, I would have probably dedicated my entire life to making Kat miserable, okay? But she kept quiet about it since November 2024. And now, seeing that Kat was using her name to make herself look good.
Bad. Yeah.
I totally understand why
look
Alicia
better,
reacted
and
the
it's
way
not.
She did. I think anyone would. Kat's next videos would be heavily dislike bombed, and there would be many comments highlighting how she clickbaited the fact that Alicia had cancer, right? And these would be heavily upvoted. Kat would start realizing this isn't something she can just wait out. This isn't something that will disappear. This was actually a very big hit to her reputation, 2 things at the same time wreaking havoc on everything she has built. So she made this statement on Twitter saying, addressing the cancer clickbait incident with Alicia. There was a situation where Alicia was
still blaming it all on her editor and not taking responsibility at all.
The VTuber with cancer was hacked. The VTuber had publicly expressed on their Twitter they did not want people to talk about their hacking situation, and I wanted to respect that and was going to delete the video. At this point, the video was not live, it was sitting as private on my channel. I should have deleted the video immediately to avoid miscommunication with my editor, and that's my fault. However, while I was asleep, my editor posted the video without me knowing. He does not have permission to post videos to my channel, and he had never posted a video prior to this, so I did not expect that he would do that. He then saw the backlash about the video and changed the title to something about remission. My editor's first language isn't English, so he didn't realize that the words cancer and remission aren't interchangeable and mean 2 completely different things. He's human and makes mistakes like the rest of us. Please do not send hate to him if you know who he is. Regardless, the blame lies with me, as I should have immediately deleted the video off my channel to avoid the possible misinterpretation that the video was good to go live. The entire time I was asleep, and I woke up confused to what was happening. I misremembered. I thought I realized something happened at 4 p.m. PT when I woke up, but I realized I actually went live, and my editor told me after my stream something happened, making it around 10 p.m. PT. The moment I realized something was wrong, I deleted the video, privately apologized to the VTuber, and compensated the VTuber for potential damages that could have occurred for the 12 hours the video was up. You can see the timestamps and the attached photos of the post about the video on the 2nd of November 2024 at around 11 a.m. PT, and my message same day at around 11 p.m. PT. I didn't want to talk about this publicly because I deemed the situation resolved, and also didn't want to continue mentioning that VTuber as they have already explained.
But it was up for 24.
They didn't want people to talk about their health situation, but I felt it needed to be brought up as there's a narrative going around that I exploited their health for views when I was asleep the entire time it was happening. So already there are some things that don't add up. She initially said that she was lazy for not deleting the video. There's no mention of that anymore. She also, in the comment and in the video, mentioned the video was up for 6 hours. Now she's saying it was up for 12 hours. And finally, she said she didn't want to talk about this publicly because she thought this was resolved. Well, she already did talk about it publicly. Once in the video and once in the comments trying to make herself look better. She of course got community noted and proceeded to show the DM conversation between her and Alicia, in which she used the same excuse that, oh,
and then
it was my editor, I wanted to take down the video, blah, blah, blah. To which Alicia says, thanks for taking it down. It really sucks being referred to as the cancer VTuber. Wishing your team well. Yeah, today sucked a lot more because of that video, but what's done is done. Thanks again for taking it down. To which Kat says, hey, I feel really bad about this. Do you have a PayPal or something so I can send you something as an apology for everything? Alicia gives her PayPal. Kat sends her the money, around $150. And Alicia says, thank you, got it. Have a great night too. Here's the problem though. Kat had posted another screenshot showing the PayPal receipt, showing the amount paid and who received it. Now, Alicia's face and full name are well known. As I said, she used to be an esports commentator. However, what's never been known publicly is her middle name. And that receipt showed her middle name. It didn't censor her name. There was an attempt by Kat to draw over it, but it was such a shitty job that you could see everything. After that receipt tweet was deleted, Alicia said, Kat has now deleted the tweet that doxed my full government name. After one day of it being up, when she made a Google Doc, she censored everyone's fully. When it came to mine, she didn't. I don't know why. To be clear, my first and last name are public due to me being a retired professional esports commentator. But my middle name has never been public. This was a lot to take in, and these past few days have been draining. I don't know how you could try to write a professional statement in response to me, but just dox me within it. But she clearly has
Right.
fully covered others' names before, so why wasn't the same done for me? I've been spending time with my fiance and unplugging as much as I can. I will get back to normal video recording soon. Rejecting DMs of people sending me my own name has been kind of freaking me out a bit, but it's fine, nothing too crazy, I just feel super anxious. So, Kat had somehow, in trying to clear her name, made things 1,000 times worse. Now literally doxing Alicia. Like, dude, can someone take her phone away? Seriously, like, she shouldn't be allowed to tweet or do anything anymore for a while. This is insane. Before realizing that she was doxed, Alicia had quote tweeted Kat's response and said, "Hey there, idiot, it's me, the person you exploited. Don't worry, I showed all the screenshots in my video, it doesn't save your ass. You said in your own words, I was too lazy to take down and that taking down videos take time. You are a liar. You can pretend and act like your editor is the problem, but you are. You are a terrible person who thinks posting about my cancer is fine. Who chose to bring me up again to defend yourself when slamming on Dokibird. You posted a video clickbaiting my cancer on your channel. You had changed the title to me being in remission. You bashed Doki for her blaming others. You are a hypocrite. Trying to call out someone else while you are the problem is just classic.
Exactly.
Also, all screenshots, honey. I can provide them since they are in my response video. My screenshots also include the comment I made that you deleted, so cheers. You posted about my channel being hacked a week after I already got it back. You made the video after I already called out
You
other
already
channels
said
for
that you
clickbaiting my
knew
cancer. You even
about
stated
her
you knew before the
having
video
her stuff
uploaded that
back.
I don't want people calling me the cancer VTuber, yet you made the video. Fuck off. Also, of course you didn't want the situation to be public because you look like shit. LMAO, I chose not to say anything, but then you brought me up to seem like a good person when people got upset about you in relation to Dokibird. This is on you for making me step up. So again, more revelations here. Kat had deleted the comment Alicia had left on her YouTube video where she was clickbaiting her cancer. It seemed that every single time Kat tried to say anything, it
Damn,
would just
I've been
become
live
10
for 3
times
hours. This
worse.
is insane.
There was simply no saving her. Kat also posted this same statement as a YouTube post on her YouTube channel. But as you might have guessed, most of these comments are completely against her. And of course, there's more to this because she's also been involved in a couple of other controversies, with one in particular involving lollies. But not only am I not interested in diving deep into that at all, I think the video is already way too long. Look, in a nutshell, Kat is what happens when you care too much about views and are willing to compromise your own ethics and morals. She used to make advice content. Great. She found a new niche that was bringing in more views. Awesome. But expecting to find new drama daily on this very strict upload schedule, especially just in the art and VTubing niche on Twitter most of the time, is a very unrealistic expectation. This inevitably led her to take on topics that aren't worthwhile or are just plain false, only for the sake of keeping up with her upload schedule and chasing that higher view count. During this entire process, she lost all sense of accountability and has developed into an unlikable narcissist. Is this the end of KatnChat or Katliente? Well, as I always say in every video I make, unless she loses her ability of making money, then no, nothing is ever over. However, these incidents have caused such a big, undeniable dent in her reputation that you might as well use it for a swimming pool. It'll be extremely hard
Not saying
to
it's
recover
swimming pool,
any
that's
reputation she might
absolutely
have left,
insane.
especially in the VTubing community. My prediction is that she might try to transition into another niche, separate from VTubing, in order to start anew. I don't think it'll work though. The only thing that will work is an apology. Look, I think in most situations online, when creators get bullied by their audience to apologize, they shouldn't apologize. Many of the times, it's the audience trying to bully the creator in order to control them. It's this weird symptom of idol culture. But sometimes, apology truly is the only way to go, and this is one of those situations, in my opinion. The only way for her to ever hope to work her way through to fixing her reputation is to just straight up drop an apology video and admit your mistakes while vying to never repeat this again. Finally,
And
I'd
actually
like to
take
reiterate to anyone
accountability.
watching that no matter how bad things sound, never ever make up your opinion until you hear what the other side has to say. If everyone could follow this advice, then we'd probably be living in a utopia by now. Thank you so much for watching this ridiculously long video. I need a very long vacation, but I probably will be back in a week or a week and a half because I love you guys too much. And I'll see you in the next video whenever that is, okay? Thanks so much for watching until the end. Really, I appreciate it. Mwah.
We're done. It's over. Like, deadass. I've been streaming for way too long. I am laying down. I am deadass laying the fuck down. Shit, I'm tired as hell. I'm tired as fuck. I'm take a break. So I'm gonna end the stream right here and then go live again later. If I don't go live again later, then I'll see you guys tomorrow. But if I do, then I'll see you around 8-ish, 9-ish. Okay, and I'll only do an hour-long stream or less than that. Alright, you beautiful, wonderful people. You have a beautiful day or night, whatever the case may be. Yet again, do not sit and hate to anybody in this situation whatsoever. And have a good day. I am so hungry and so tired. I just see you guys at 8-ish, 9-ish. If not, see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Lord, I didn't even press play on this. I'm tired. Like, I'm dead ass gonna take a nap. Oh shit. I don't have my VTube model. So let's I did not expect to be drained. Like, honestly, I did not expect to be drained. That's insane. But let's go to twitch.tv.
Is it me or just James?
/raid.